Alright, we're recording and live, so we'll come to order and get started here. John, you good on attendance? Mr. Nordstrand's on his way. Here shortly. Open up with open forum, gentlemen. Do you have anything for forum?
No, just here to get updates on Bantams and U10.
Okay. And we do have some updates there that we will get into, so perfect. Alright, we'll move right into the monthly reports then, starting with the secretary.
I sent out the August minutes earlier this week, so just I'm making a motion to approve the August minutes presented in that email.
Second from Scott, favor? Good. Melissa, treasurer's report.
I sent out financial reports via email. Anybody have any questions? And I'll motion to approve August financials as shown in the email.
A second.
Favor? Good. With the treasurer's, Melissa, just a side note, Burnsville will be sending us invoice pretty soon. They get the city council approval, I think, middle of next week, so just make sure we have that bill planned for next month. Okay, gambling.
We have to hold till next meeting, because we moved this meeting up. Des didn't have the numbers ready yet, so.
Well, you'll do that through an email one then?
Yeah, we can do that, or I think we can wait till next month and do both, right? It doesn't matter, I can do email.
We just did that a month or so ago, so I prefer if we do it through an email and just keep it on track, and
Yep.
especially coming off a rough month last month, it'd be good to just get it out front right away. And you wanna hold on to the projected expense for next month then, or do you got a ballpark?
I don't, although I wasn't here last, you were saying it was down, or,
Like
but isn't it typically, that's when we pay a lot of the taxes and stuff, so that's expected to be down.
We're in the negative though for the first time in all my history of the gambling.
You just said this time of year, it's just slow.
It's always slow in the summer, yeah. I think we're better this month. We had a lot of bad games last month too.
Really good games, depending on what side.
Really good for a
Right.
player, yeah.
Yeah, for the players, not bad, but not ideal for us. Well, I think Lane should turn around a little bit now too, that league bowling started, that's, you know, it was a good win to get the lanes overall here throughout the year what they bring in gambling, but it's a much slower place during the summer than it is during, you know, being one of the top spots, that has a pretty big impact.
Yeah.
And then Sparkle again, right, sent a report.
I was just reading what she was
Yeah,
saying.
is any of that out of the normal, like, did we get new rules words that needed to be updated, or is that just more on the establishments?
She didn't seem, she just said, no need to follow up, so
Okay,
if we need to follow up, then it's probably a bad.
okay,
But I'll have to talk to each place with their minimum issues here.
right. Yeah, it didn't seem like anything was like severe, it's not like cash is missing, games missing, things like that, just
No.
little details.
It's sometimes how they keep track of things and.
Okay.
Do you know, typically around this time we have a meeting with Al?
We're in that middle of that right now.
Okay,
Which is, we need a few more things to them.
okay.
It's Cameron now, I don't know if
Yeah.
Al will be on the meeting, but we should be finishing within a week, probably. He just took all the games and probably audited them, so now he just needs paperwork. And
Thank you.
we need you to sign a bunch of minutes, cause we haven't been doing that.
I'll email them out.
Yeah, send them over and I'll get that taken care of.
You can e-sign, so.
And then I have
Is
to,
it in DocuSign or?
Mhm.
Oh, nice, that's better.
it'll be easy.
Print, sign,
Yeah.
scan. Awesome. Okay, perfect. And District 8, Dave. what
I
you
was
got?
on vacation, so I think he said he's talked to the RAC and we're having a grasp of what was going on.
Yeah, biggest push right now is getting final team counts in, and so that's why we have that on agenda today, is to take that last review. Obviously not final if something changed or dramatically, they would allow us to change, but we gotta give them something going right now. The other reminder, they were real big on continue to push the coaches' education programs, and CEP clinics are done on December 15th. That's something that, especially as we get into coach selection, let's make sure that's part of their handout, so we don't deal with the red lines, cause most of the time people wait till the end anyways, and the end is a little bit sooner, but there are more clinics available early this year than there have been in the past. Those are really the highlights out of that one, so. And the waiver rules, which Jordan and I are fuddling through that day in and day out right now. School waivers versus discretionaries, and it's messy. I think the biggest challenge is people that were on school waivers, but they weren't signed for the duration. They're now having to get discretionary waivers, cause you can't get a school waiver except for that first year of Squirt or U10 is the only time you can get a school waiver without physically up and moving. So there's some people out there that have never played in our association that are asking for a waiver. There's one, he's a second year Bantam, asking a waiver to Red Wing to finish playing where he's played. We're gonna sign that, right? He's never been part of our association, part of our counts. Some of the others are being denied on discretionary ones. Our handbook policy is pretty cut and dry that we only waiver out if we do not have somewhere for the kid to play at their age group. It's the only time we do discretionary waivers out, so there's been a few denials, and we'll keep working through those. There's appeal processes and stuff that can be followed, and if it goes to the district or the state and they decide that they don't like our decision, that's fine, we can live with that, but we're gonna follow what our handbook says, as far as any discretionaries go. So, enough of that, because that stuff's just all boring, right? New business, see note on White Meltdown, Scott, you wanna go on that one?
Yeah, just with everything going as fast as it is, I'm gonna start the planning process, especially now that we've got a sponsor for the White Meltdown, and just trying to get ahead and see if we want to continue to keep it as an in-house only, or if we do wanna start looking at teams to participate. If we do invite teams, we need to have enough time to reach out and schedule that and get on the radar, so curious to get what the feedback or feeling is on doing a in-house versus a invite type meltdown.
We invited teams 2 years ago, it was really fun, I thought it was awesome.
It's huge.
Yeah, it was great, so I'm all about inviting teams.
Yeah, I don't think we make a decision right now, right, because we are gonna base what we do for our team structures on evaluations with the plan, they're still going to play within their age groups. But if our Mite threes or our third graders, if we bring in some higher end Mite threes and we've got third graders that aren't that high end, we're not setting the kids up to have a very good time, right? And it's gonna be frustrating, for parents, so I think after we have evaluations, you know, if we have a group that we identify is a little higher end, then it's easier to make a decision. I say that out of one side of my mouth, out of the other side, with our U8s being split up skill based still, I think we do for them, cause with only 2 teams, maybe 3, that's a pretty boring little rotation to create an event out of, so I think we do look at doing that. Plus, you know, anything to talk about girls hockey in Farmington and talk girls coming to Farmington to play hockey, things like that. Where our girls' numbers sit, anything we can be doing to drum up excitement around that is worth every ounce of effort.
Perfect. I'll make a note and then I'm happy to push that and lead that, so.
Do you know what dates those would be roughly?
Not really.
We're always in March sometime.
Yeah.
Or something?
March is, yeah, if I remember the first or second week.
Yeah, it's the first or second week, once you go ice out, the second Monday usually, isn't it?
It's,
Traditionally, we've done it during the boys' state tournament,
yeah.
which I've
Right, it's
pushed
the
back
second-
on,
second-
but
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, it's right before ice out.
in non-advancing district playoffs are a week earlier this year, so there's some time the weekend after the boys' high school tournament, we should still have ice in, and we'll still have plenty of teams active, so the city isn't gonna be going, God, the rink's sitting empty, we're just gonna pull it out early. that's still before the youth state tournaments, that would be the following weekend.
And then in the past, if we had,
States are-
I know, can you be honest, like, have we had any like committees and that stuff? I know we were able to kind of get some stuff gathered kind of last minute to get the rink decorated and that stuff. But curious how we want to do that and handle if we want to do something either through the board or if we want to reach out to parents and have that be an opportunity for gives or something else to help out getting that. So we can get that process.
I probably treat it like golf to a degree, it was not everything, but you know, like
Yeah.
the moms just went out and decorated stuff, so I think you can probably source
Yeah.
volunteers as we get closer. I like that we're talking about it right now.
And there is that donation, so there is some funding to
Yep.
compensate for some of that.
Yeah, cause I
The
think last year
sponsorship will help.
decorations were about $120, so
My kid still wears his t-shirt from 2 years ago too, so.
I found a box of them
The
in the
t-shirts.
water heater.
That age,
You must have
yeah,
got
we'll
one.
take any t-shirt or hat we give them, and they will wear it until it's unwearable, so it's a good idea.
Yeah.
You know, and with a sponsor or a title sponsor around the event, somebody that's invested in it, there's some funds, but, you know, Scott, balance that with whatever else you think projected cost may be and make sure plenty in advance, we motion, get cash or whatever we need to do to make it a good event. You know, just want the kids to, hopefully, the things we're doing where they're gonna get a third hour and they're gonna be skating more, is gonna get them really excited about playing, but then let's end it with a bang. Even if it's in-house, announce their names, do all the music, do all the things that the big kids get, and just really, really get them excited about it, so we don't go from 85 to 60, we go from 85 to 90, going from one year to the next, so.
No, 100%. So I'll make a note, then we'll circle back after evals, and then we can start ironing out and also start working on trying to find some volunteers as well.
We use those trophies and medals that like Cooper got one year, and then we didn't do it.
They're still in the locker, we do have them, yep.
Does that have a year etched into it?
Think so, but I don't.
It might be.
X.
Well, it might be a.
Put some tape around
it.
I've got
They're
condoms
even
sticker.
etched.
2016 meltdown.
There's tape.
Vintage!
See, I was born.
No, but that's a good reminder, right, we have these trophies and medals, cause we were going to host the Squirt B2 tournament, and we didn't know to go to District 8 and get the approval for the tournament, have the rules drafted and all the things we need to do, so going forward, if we look at tournaments, right, we secured additional ice at Burnsville right now this year. We're gonna host a regional tournament for the girls 15Bs. I strongly encourage you to look at, once we get this season rolling and start moving into next off-season, there's an opportunity to bring some cash in by hosting tournaments. But start early, make sure you're researching all the things that you need to do it, cause that opportunity's there. It doesn't have to be hosted at Schmitz-Mackey for us to capitalize off of it and make money off of it. If we can do it at Schmitz-Mackey, better, right, cause then we get the concession sales and everything else that goes with it, but it's just another revenue stream that I strongly encourage we continue to look at and explore all options, especially while our ice is in a better spot right now, and hopefully continuing to go in the direction of more and more as we move forward.
I would suggest that you get your volunteers lined up right now. For the last 3 years, every Mike director has ran that tournament on their own.
Yep.
To be blunt. A lot of people sitting in this room like, yeah, I'll help, and then other tournaments come up, and regionals are up, and other kids are doing other things. Get your folks aligned,
Yeah.
because last 3 years, it's been a 1 to 2 man person.
And we started looking at it in February.
Yeah, well, that's last year.
Hopefully September is a good starting point to
Yeah.
definitely knock it out of the park.
It's been every year.
True. Alright, anything else on Mike Meltdown? Okay, Scott, so kind of keep posted, maybe treat it like a subcommittee, kind of take me the point person, but tap for support as you need it, delegate, you don't need to try to take it all on yourself.
I'm more than happy to help.
Perfect, yeah.
Do you wanna take on that relationship with the swimming?
Yeah.
You were on that, so if you wanna just, I mean, I'll definitely.
But I mean, I've been to enough Mike tournaments that, you know, I know what seems to work and what doesn't too, so.
No, perfect.
Loud things, shiny things, and hearing their name on the PA, that's what works at my parents. And balance competition, cause
But I mean, there's things
there's
like,
some that get pretty brutal and that's just not fun.
if you plan far enough ahead, you could, you know, we could have Nordy here that skate with the kids, or Goldie Gopher and it's.
The tiger will skate.
Oh, we got the tiger, my bad.
Just make sure you're fan.
We got Tony.
Tiger will do whatever that accordion is.
He's not missing, bro.
He's out moving. Good point, we should look at the tiger. Him and Goldie can wrestle.
Alright, next, new business item, was parent resource night, not sure who put that in there.
Jordan.
I threw it in there just to let everybody know that it's something coming up. I think FES reached out to you maybe.
Yep.
Forwarded it on. I think the marketing committee can handle it. We'll just get a lead on it and run with it. It's an hour at FES in October, just to display and show kids what we are about. I don't know.
Yeah, I blocked my calendar to be available, to be there for that,
So,
it's still early enough where we would still accept mite registrations. Definitely early enough that we can drum up our pony program, especially those younger elementary school kids.
yeah.
And then, wanna make sure we represent Scripps program over there too. Those mite families, if we can get them, I regret not doing it in a big way, cause it's a lot of dollars that I left on the table, so. You know, I can definitely be there if we can have marketing, just make sure I have the materials. I don't think we need more than 2 people there, how crazy busy it is, but I'll make myself available to be one of the 2.
And I will be traveling that week for work, so I am unavailable, and I don't know, not that I wanna put anything on Melissa, but as far as the marketing materials, I'm not sure.
Nope.
Who wants to take
no,
that?
Do we have
I mean,
anything left that we can use at this event?
I don't think so.
Do kids come to this thing?
Yeah, it's a parents and kids activity night, like, oh, last time.
The
we had
tiger,
it upstairs.
the tiger needs to show up.
Yeah, the tiger being there would be
So
awesome.
yeah, I don't know what materials you have saved, Melissa, that we could order, or
Or
is
what
somebody
about-
free?
what about-
I
what
honestly
board do you
don't
have?
think we need to overthink it, I think we can get one of our,
We have one of our big boards.
yeah, we can
That's
get
a
the,
QRC code.
one of our boards with the QR code and a banner to hang off the front of the table out of the locker, it
I mean,
doesn't
take
need
the
to
one
be-
out of the ring.
Do we have any of those, you know, the big rink one where they can scan it and sign up for mites and ponies, do we have those in the?
No, that's what we're saying, we don't have the ones, no.
That's all good.
But I'm saying take that board out of the
Take the
ring,
big one.
Be nice
cause
if
at
they-
that point, it doesn't need to be.
They could take something with them, I was thinking like a handout.
Someone's.
They just,
Can you just send
use
me
the
that
QR
file?
code.
Alright, cool, whoever's gonna be number 2 to sit with me and the tiger at the table, please just let me know.
I can do it if you need.
Alright, Amanda's in, it's on the record, you have to be there, or you have to find a replacement.
I'll get
You
the,
don't use, you don't have football,
file for Melissa,
No.
I'll get the
it's fine. Grab it.
postcards made for flyer.
Yeah,
Well, I'll just order them, I mean, they're on, it's just a reorder
Okay,
if we wanna use the same ones, but then you can go pick them up.
yeah,
I'd probably only do like 2,000,
yeah.
people can scan the QR code and have the
I don't
conversation.
buy 'em
Is it
in
cheap,
bulk.
is it cheaper just to print them on paper, like nice paper, like we did for like the golf and? Or is it all the same?
I don't know, I'd have to look, but I know there's minimums that have them, so I don't know what the minimum is for postcard holders. Off the top of my head.
Or worst case, you just use them next year, right? So
Well, the QR code will.
it's only good
If you
for
QR code it to
changes.
the main website, sure, if you QR code it to the registration will fold year over year, usually the URL changes.
Oh, got it, right.
Again, $50, I mean. $50.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, let's get next week rolling and then we'll figure it out, I mean, it doesn't have to be a gigantic thing, but we've always talked about not being able to get into the schools, not being able to put signs up at the schools, so it's nice to see an opportunity to engage with that group. Alright. Let's go with the concession stand display update first, and then we'll get into the levels. and
Yeah, I threw that on there just to maybe get an opinion on if we should update the, whiteboard up there, that little chalkboard that's going on. I'm fine with it being the way it is, but I thought maybe put some TVs up there with a electronic menu instead, freshen it
Kinda
up.
get ahead of the city.
You can bring that up with the TV downstairs?
Since we talked today, no.
No, but in general, TVs upstairs or?
I don't think the city can really dictate anything that happens inside the concession stand, really. As long as we man it, operate it, take it down when we leave.
The contract's set up basically like we lease that space within there, where the city might have an issue and it's probably not something we can't work through, is if we needed to run data lines or electrical or anything to hang them, but it's not like this is a.
You're just gonna hang them, plug them in, and then there's gonna be like a USB.
But then, yeah,
port
the
that's
line
placed on the
plugs
side.
in, so.
That's what I was hoping for, yeah.
Yeah, you're not gonna, there's no Wi-Fi needed, or you could connect them to Wi-Fi, but you're gonna program it into the dongle and just stick it in the TV.
So it's just like a download or like an app that will.
There'll be an
create-
app that you can use to program it, that you'll do on like your computer, and then it will write it off to the USB drive that you stick in the side.
Yeah, for a
Depending on
for
what
a
you buy.
static image, right, if it's just a straight menu.
Now, I don't
have-
know what the cost is on something like that, so if, I make sure that that seems cost effective, but TV's not that expensive now, right?
No, TVs aren't that expensive, no.
You can always, can't you put something in a USB and stick that in there, like?
That's
what
what
you're
you're saying.
Yeah, why not? That's why
I guess the question would be, you know, do we have an idea what it would cost? I mean, we can speculate on 55 and 65 inch TVs, we know we can get those sizes for just a couple $100.
I mean, you don't need
each.
full case, you could buy the cheapest piece of crap possible,
Right.
and stick it up there as long as it's like, for, say, $250 a TV.
Right, but
USB drive is gonna be
as
like
far as the
$15.
content though, do we want to have it, where it can be adjusted and changed if there's items that are out?
Yeah, what you
Or
do
do
is
we
you
wanna
take
just
the
have a
dongle and
static
stick it in the
image?
computer and redo it.
If there's items that are out, it's not crossed off, anyways.
Right,
So, I mean, nobody's crawling up there and lining out anything.
why not? A ladder sounds cheaper than new TVs.
Yep.
I mean, half facetious and half serious. No, I don't know that we wanna move on the, well, if anyone wants the motion, go ahead, but I think we would wanna know cost. Cause yeah, we can get the cheap bottom of the end TV, but if we get the cheapest of the cheap and we have to buy it every year, are we saving any money?
You won't, as long as you don't leave them on all of the time, you'll be fine.
Right, so, but yeah, Greg, kind of trust on your guidance for it, right, it's kind of our space
Well,
and,
I mean, I looked around a little bit and we could probably get away with $1,500 on up to $2,500, depending on that. The TV's the price tag. I mean, you can go to Sam's right now and get two of them at $400 a pop.
right,
And you get some hardware, some jump drives, I mean, you're sitting at $1,500.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not to break the bank, but then a sale goes away, now you're up another $100 on each TV.
Is it concrete right behind there,
I
block?
believe so, yeah.
So your TV stand, you know, whatever you get.
No, you're gonna
have
need
to
some,
drill in.
you're gonna need some
concrete
fasteners.
wall.
Yep. But some of those TV mounts, they come. with all
$150
that.
max.
So it's not the worst.
It's on your freezer fund.
yes.
Yeah, I didn't do any freezer fund last year.
So we did pass concessions money for a freezer and then
Just
that
be
one don't do
mindful
that.
of the payment we have to make towards the, that's not my budget.
I know.
I can hang there. Roll it.
Jordan, you hang it, there we go, we're saving money. Any other discussion or anyone wanted action, anything with that right now? Okay,
Get more details.
Alright.
yeah, more details in the sponsor. Somebody that can motion. on
If
that.
it's a rolling advertisement, it seems like that'd be easy to get multiple sponsors that would help chip in with the cost of this and just put their image.
My guess is you're gonna end up, whatever software you get to do it, is the the more functionality you're gonna pay for, so your rolling advertisements might be something that like your low end one doesn't do, so.
I meant
I would go back-
voting board member sponsor that could motion money or anything for it.
But you were talking
But
about staff.
sponsorship selling is always
Yeah,
a good
exactly.
idea.
Take a look and see what software is out there.
Well, I looked last year even at software, and I don't have pricing, I mean, you can go high, you can have some pretty stringent,
What was like the
images.
cheapest stuff you saw?
And or you can,
Can you just cast an iPad?
and or you can just do it on a USB port or jump drive and display.
Display it like a standard file.
Yeah.
For like the time being?
Yeah,
Right,
kinda
you
like
could cast
those
an iPad.
people do it for like their photos and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be that big of a deal.
The
So then,
software,
just
what
in your
is,
presentation, then add in Jordan's Installation Company as a sponsor, you should rotating it through, and you'll get your sponsors in, add value.
Craig, what was the cost of the software at all, do you recall? I mean, are we talking $200,
No,
$2,000?
You can get one that's just a one-shot deal.
Okay, so 1,500, do you think would get
Oh, I
a couple
don't think
TVs
it's that
and
much.
what would that get for the TVs and the software?
Buy 'em at
Well, if you were
Black
thinking of just displaying one that just rotates between images,
I was
you
just
could
thinking
rotate in
displaying.
between, you could create your own like 10-page bundle, right, that just repeats itself. And every other one is the menu, and every other one after that is some advertising.
We
And
never
you go through it
with the
constantly, and
senior
all you
graduation,
need is just a
I gotta
USB
stop.
drive.
We gotta find it out.
Yeah, you could use Google Docs to create.
Alright, so
Can we
get
just-
us more info
Alright,
and we'll.
Do you
More
want a
Play
motion
it
now, or,
PowerPoint.
I mean, I'll
You need
motion
help, I
for
can figure it out.
$1,500 to get Craig some TVs.
No, that's just good details.
I'm not an IT, but I know how to do a PowerPoint for heaven's sakes, I've been around for 30 years.
Pretty sure you can get a TCL.
Craig, and then buy your Black Friday, even
But-
better.
Yeah.
I'd like to have them up before season.
No, I get you.
Are you really gonna get more sales from putting a TV up? Aren't they gonna buy no matter what? What do you get for pissing away $1,500? I'm gonna come to the concession stand anyway.
Right.
I mean, let's be honest, I mean, the kids are coming to buy the candy and stuff anyway. I mean,
Just
so
trying to
it's,
make it look pretty.
I know, but I'm trying to make money.
Like to get one downstairs, and then you can advertise the concession stand upstairs and do the.
Maybe we get the city to not put locker room assignments on a piece of paper.
They already have the monitor and everything to do it, they don't do it.
Maybe you
Wait,
I've never been to
They
an ice
already
arena.
have the monitor?
I've never been to an ice arena in the state of Minnesota that uses a piece of paper. Period, end of conversation. So if we can make our place look a little bit nicer and not so embarrassing, I mean, it's gonna be embarrassing. The smell of urine will take care of that. Maybe we could have some nice television somewhere.
maybe ask if part of that check could be used to do that.
So I'll acknowledge a motion was placed for up to 1,500 by Amy,
Second.
it's been
I
seconded.
don't know, the smell of urine is kind of clean.
Votes in favor,
It screams farm.
Mike, raise your hand.
Yeah, no, it's up.
5 against. 1, 2, 3. Motion passes. No, but just like the freezer, it doesn't necessarily mean the money will be spent. I think looking at the possibility of selling advertisement though, and putting it into the rotation on there, you know, like, hey, for $200, you'll pop up every 45 seconds at the concession stands. Think could pay for itself.
So we're planning to do, I think, the way the facilities look is important, especially if we want other teams to come around and just like the way you dress, right? Like, dress is important, so I think that's also to the locker room assignment thing and the connectivity with,
I don't know what he's saying.
sponsors. We're gonna do a, lower level parent coaches meeting, right?
Yes.
We're gonna do an Amazon gift card,
Raffle or
Yeah.
drawing or whatever it is.
yeah. And like I said, the community baseball program from a 20-minute meeting raised $11,000. So this is something that we can be, and they say inside of like Adrenaline Fundraising says like, you should be specific in what you're raising money for. Like, hey, you raise money, here's what you're gonna get.
Cause we secured 900 more hours of ice at Burnsville.
So that's like, but there could be many things,
So there should be a goal of 25,000 out of that fundraiser, if 11,000 happened almost instantly, so baseball, that should be the goal.
My point is, like, I think with extra effort, you can fundraise, and I also hear, like, we talk about fundraising, but then it's another thing to actually do the fundraising, but, I think we've got some good momentum, and I think what we've done in the golf tournament this year showcases what we're capable of too, so.
Well, and I think the monitors are gonna generate revenue, it's gonna pay for itself and then some, so we're always looking for money.
I think like you talk to new parents too, even I was a new Mike parent here 2 years ago, and every hour advice, I'm like, where do we go? And to Mike's point, like 90% of every other, even ex-hockey has a whiteboard, I know exactly where I'm going every day, at Schmitz I don't.
So we should be withholding money from the city of Farmington if they won't do anything.
I feel like I've been saying that for 10 years
I
now.
mean, if we're gonna bitch about the rink, let's stop paying the bill.
Well, I think $1,500 to, like, in the broad scheme of things
Stronger in the city.
isn't 10,000, it's not a huge amount of money.
We did.
We've withheld payments to the city before, you're not on the wrong track here.
I mean,
But
If they're not
remember, the
gonna do
city,
anything,
the
why pay 'em?
city feels like they keep this rink open as a service to us. To them, this is a line item on their budget that they don't care about. It
Right.
makes minimal money for them, it's a headache, they view it as a liability in their T-chart.
It
and not
makes
doing
zero money for them,
Well-
they're in the red by 300 grand.
Each year, there have been years where they've been solvent at that ice rink.
They also put a loan against it, right, to pay for the new fire truck too, let's make sure that we.
Right, so
this as well.
they don't necessarily view this as a revenue generator like it could be. That's why they don't advertise on ringfinder.com like every other rink in the state of Minnesota. So to strong arm them and to withhold them, they could just shutter the damn thing and walk away. Be like, you know what? We're just gonna make this into a storage facility for our trucks. Or we're gonna have arts and crafts there. I mean, they don't care about it. It's evident. They can't change light bulbs. You can't change light bulbs, you can't mop the floor, I mean, it's not cared about. So to strong arm people is, I'd love to, and we've tried, but I could just see them walking away.
I will ask them for a meeting and a walkthrough before they hand them the check, but at the end of the day, we are under a contract to give them a check in order to get the ice. So legally, we have to, but we can also, the question can be, I wanna detail what capital improvements is this $10,000 creating? The city of Burnsville, their city council hasn't even approved our contract with them yet, and I've already gotten everything they've done for the last year and everything they're gonna do for the next year.
They're
So,
interested in investing. in
the
this.
city can be held accountable to holding up more of their end of the bargain. But at the end of the day, if we want that ice, we're gonna have to pay them. And compared to other contracts and agreements, it's not that much, but the idea of holding the check, like, I'm not gonna put the check in the mail, I'm not gonna drop the check at City Hall. I want Parks Director, Facilities Director, like, let's block this building, let's talk about what are you doing with that money? Cause that money, 50% of what we pay them goes to their parks fund, and 50% is supposed to be earmarked for capital improvements of the building. So, asking, will you mount some TVs or run an extra electrical outlet for us? We should be able to ask for that. Can you activate your system to do the digital locker room assignments? We should be able to ask for that. It shouldn't be that hard to put one on either side of that entrance hutch. So, those questions will get asked, but I don't know that we can just sit there and be like, okay, you're not gonna do that for us, then we're not gonna pay you. And I'm aware they're gonna counter with, well, we've got this plumbing issue that needs to get fixed this year, and we had this maintenance expense, and this happened to the Zamboni, and that's all part of it too, but, it is time that we do ask, like, will you do these things? Or at least let us do it, we'll go fundraise and come up with the money to do the locker room assignments or whatever, but if we do that, what do we get in exchange for that? Other than it looks better for us, it helps, our association look good. At the end of the day, it is still their facility, so we don't just have free run to hang up and do anything we want without working that through them either. But I don't disagree with you at all, cause.
I'm gonna make a point to get on Hoyt's butt then and see if I can meet with him. I mean, the guy's up for reelection, let's push him.
He is.
Should talk about the data center, that seems like something.
I know that's a huge thing.
people that live over there wouldn't mind a little like two-sheet facility.
I laugh because I know him really well,
Do you?
and I've tried for a really long time. And I actually met with the previous city administrator, because I would walk in at brand new ice time, 8 o'clock in the morning, and there would be crap in the toilets. And that was the one time that I got things clean. That's when they put like, some of the, they made some of the changes, but after that, it went back to where it was, and they do not care.
You think then just lease us the damn rink and walk away, basically?
So, they could lease us the rink, but then we have to, not only fund the rink, but we have to fund the people that run the rink. We have to take on the liability and the maintenance and all the rest of it too. Which, running a rink is generally not a profit-making opportunity.
No, you need a restaurant attached.
You generally need a community too that will come in and spend money, right? For as long as I've been here, that's been the discussion. But the city is what it is, and I tend to agree with Tim is, let's try to get what we can get and go forward, and work with them as partners as much as we can.
So,
I hate to say it, this is not a hockey town.
like we offer to our members, there's an open forum at city council meetings, go bitch about it. I don't know. Seem to be starting to get somewhere with the city, with the high school being provided a spotlight and some, I mean, there's small things, but we seem to be getting somewhere, so I would hate to torpedo 4.5 years of conversations with strong arms and
When the time,
not paying a bill.
the time to really, flex any muscle, be, I think, what do we see, Melissa? Was it
to
3 or
remind
4 years
everybody-
left before there's a new contract has to be drafted?
I think it was 3 years ago, they went through and did a citywide survey on what to do with Jim Bell Park. And Hoyt pushed a hockey community center, and it came in like 12th, 20th, under like pickleball courts, a skate park, and leaving it the way it is.
And a nature trail.
That's the community speaking about what they perceive us, where we rank in that.
Alright, well, I feel like we've kinda got off track here. We were
Yeah.
talking about TVs in the concession and now we're,
We are gonna move along with
Yeah, let's
Ryan
move
and
along.
Jordan, when it's time to deliver the check, we'll get together with them.
you came for his TVs?
Cause we can at least ask.
You bring back Mars bars?
He just sort of smile.
It doesn't hurt to
We could
ask.
start talking about those pretzels. Alright, good.
Cinnamon sugar's coming, right?
Yeah, cinnamon
I
chicken.
can't display it.
I'll get up there with a little shot wherever.
That's why Melissa was like second.
It'll be up there, there'll be a line on it though after I get a ladder.
Alright, yeah, we'll move along, so next item of business covered tonight is gonna be giving our mostly final team counts for District 8. Registration has been mostly stagnant for a couple weeks now, so I think
There's a couple changes on here,
We have, 438 players.
like Bannums is 6 goalies, no longer 7, we had one moved to U16s.
Yeah, we're still waiting for junior goal players, so that'll bring in,
Yeah.
say 20-ish.
Ten
So
you
we're all
got,
fighting right now.
10 trying out and 3 not.
Right.
So I mean, there's been some shifts.
Okay. Well, let's go level by level. We've got the data that was pulled together a few days ago. Thank you for doing that, Lindsay. 12U, 29 skaters, 2 goalies. Our plan was for 2 teams. I don't think there's a discussion there. The 2 teams were good. 12U is not an issue. 10U, it's a 1 team, but we still need to identify a goaltender. We've kind of started running, we had a good lead going, and we ran into a dead end. Probably driven by multiple factors. My understanding is there are a few kids within that group that would be willing to do it if it wasn't a full-time gig, if they're able to rotate around. I think at this point, for the sake of making sure all of those kids can play hockey, anything and everything should be on the table to entice them. We have equipment that they can borrow. We don't have a goaltender's helmet, but maybe something like that wouldn't be a bad idea. If somebody's willing to say, hey, me and me will 50-50 the time, you know, do we give them a break on their ice bill or refund their registration or something? I'd like us to discuss it, what incentives, what can we do to push us over the edge to make sure that these girls don't leave Farmington and we don't have a 10U team, cause that, to me, would be devastating, we do not wanna be in that situation.
Don't just go, you know.
For squirt age one, you can get one for like $150, $200.
Just buy two.
Yeah, so there's 3 girls who are willing to play goalie in a rotation right now, just to keep the team in Farmington. I'm still working, I was able to, after some issues this weekend, I was able to talk that association off the ledge. They felt that some posts, social media posts, were talking about recruiting by some parents. So since then, I've been able to kind of combat that perception, and so they are still.
I'm gonna speak on it, 'cause I see a lot of eyes going, wait, what? A parent from within our association posted to a AAA hockey group throughout Minnesota. We're looking for a 10U goalie, if you're interested in coming here, we can talk, you know, they'll probably work with you on this or that. We're community-based, we don't go out recruiting. We go recruit within our community and try to bring new kids and new players in. You don't go to a AAA hockey page, which is for people who already play hockey, and ask, hey, who wants to move their goalie over to a different association? We were able to get it removed pretty quickly, but the association, we were working within our own district and in our own locality on utilizing an excess of players they had to fill out ours. Didn't take too kindly to that. We were working with them and they're like, oh, so we're not gonna work this out anymore? Thanks, bye. So Lindsay's been talking with them and working to repair that little bit of harm. So that's the social media post, without naming names and going into details. It was an unauthorized post. I replied and commented on there like, hey, please take this down, this is not spoken on behalf of our association, we do not recruit. And then deputy administrators did take the post down within an hour, but wasn't received very well, so that's kind of what she's talking there.
Yeah, so that association did reach out. They are gonna be a 4-team association with 6 goalies. They are close in proximity to us. They currently reached out to everybody this morning to see if anybody would want their own net and an opportunity to play for us. So that's still the top priority and the preferred option. Option B, or the backup plan, is that these 3 individuals, 2 reached out, directly being one through another source on the board. They are willing to share that as long as it doesn't go below 3 kids. So, preferred to, I did have 2 of them try on the equipment that I have. Tim already had said, yeah, I'm concerned about the helmet. Before at U8, they were wearing just a regular helmet. I don't want them getting shot at now at 10U with not a goalie helmet on, so that's the
They should have
concern.
the proper helmet and the dangler and everything.
And then the kids are opposite hands, so we need.
Did we do anything financially for the Bantam skater that turned goalie 2 years ago?
I believe we did. I don't remember if we scholarship their whole season or if we just handled their registration, but yeah. And so, obviously I can't motion or say anything, but anything I think should be on the table, to make this happen, not because that takes care of that player, but because it takes care of the rest of those players and protects their opportunity to play here.
So would that goalie that would play for us stick with us next year, or are we gonna have more problems
No,
next year?
it's gonna be a one-time waiver, one-time situation, and then next year we have larger problems with up to 4 teams with no goalies. So we'll still have to address
Is there
that.
any girls on the 8U that are older and have shown interest? Or if
We've
we-
already
We've
discussed with all of the primary goalies for that age level, and none of them, the 4 that I had conversations with, are interested in moving up.
Are the 3 that wanna do it, only doing it if they don't find a different goalie?
If we can find a goalie through the other association, that would be preferred by both the parents and the kids.
No, and the one thing, we have more than the one set of equipment. A couple years ago, we bought squirt size equipment as well as new mite size equipment. So it's possible that, I mean, we could get all 3 of them in goalie gear at the same time. You know, do we support having Alyssa come out for a couple extra practices practices, so not only are we covering and band-aiding this year, but maybe if they're getting some training, they kind of fall in love with the position, and we start building that number going forward. You recall 2 years ago, we invested heavily in goaltender development and retention, because we were in big trouble at Bantams, and it looked like we were gonna be the same Squirts, and it worked, by giving them the training, by giving them the access, so, I think anything and everything's on the table, obviously not actionable today, but just keep in mind, you know, if we get a lead where it's like, okay, this other association thing fell through, somebody's gonna have to motion, we're gonna have to find a way to make sure that we not just get it for now, but maybe even work to build these people into wanting to be goalies and wanting to play that position. Is that good? I'm sorry, I kept cutting you off, but.
Nope, that's good.
Okay.
So, this one team, still working on the goalie situation, I hope to say it every time I talk to anybody, hope to hear something soon in the next couple days, but we'll see how it goes. Obviously, when you're 9, you wanna play with your friends, so it's been a tough sell.
Right. And if somebody's asking you under the table, officially, unofficially, like, commit to something, if it will get them over the edge, we'll find a way to make it work, but obviously we have to come back and follow process to make it official, but anything and everything's on the table, or anyone talking to anybody about it, it's kinda thinking about it. Well, cool, come on, try it. Let's get you started and see what happens. Alright, Bantams. We dropped to 6 goalies, cause one was U16 eligible and was gonna go play U16. And we have 66 skaters now.
There's 71 registrations, if 6 are goalies, we have 65.
Oh, so it's still 65, alright.
And just to put that in perspective, we also currently have 3 of those 65 on injury holds already, and the season hasn't started, so.
So that puts us 16.3 skaters per team, 1.5 goalies per team at 4, which we currently have 8 now. We have 26 defense signed up and 37 forwards.
So, the discussion, we do need to discuss this level. If you take that 65 and if you went to 5 teams, that'd be 13 skaters per team. There's plenty of reasons, hockey development wise, skill development, ADM, everything to do that. There's significant arguments on the other side too, with at the highest level, being able to stay competitive with playing with a smaller roster. The injuries that happen at Bantams is illustrated with the kids we have on injury hold already. There's a lot to it. I think we should weigh the pros and cons and probably both make a decision tonight, if we're gonna be 4 teams or 5 teams. So, anybody wanna stake one of the arguments one way or the other to start?
I don't know if this is equitable or not, but can you put a couple more players on like the top 2 teams and then the bottom tier teams just have a couple less?
We would not. Could, but they would have to be playing at North Bantam AA if they're, you know, pushing up as grade to some point, but, you know, the way our handbook's written, when the coach for the top team goes into pick, if we have an imbalance numbers, they can choose if they're gonna do 15 or 16 or whatever. If it's all even, we can say you're picking 13, right? But if, say it's gonna be uneven and we're gonna have one team at 18, which is the maximum, we can't go over 18 on a team, that's a Minnesota hockey rule. And one team's at 17, one's at 16, one's at 15. You know, he could choose 15 or 16, but.
So it boils down to talent and what the coach of that team wants to do.
At the B2AC level, like, kids don't show up as much, so you'll have a Shattuck practice on a Tuesday night, you'll only get like 6 kids show up, so if you have a smaller team to begin with.
I think there's a lot of facets, like you said, Tim. I think and I've been thinking about this for weeks now, and I don't think that we can justify putting 18 players on a team. 18 players on a team means, from a coaching standpoint, you have 4 lines of forward and 6 defensemen. In a 15-minute period, if every player took a 1-minute shift,
which they won't, because they've been on the
if
bench
every player
forever.
took a 1-minute shift, each player would touch the ice 3.75 times a period, less than 4 shifts in a period. That's not including penalties. That's not including when someone takes a 1-20-second shift, maybe not maliciously, but they just get stuck out there. I mean, your kid could play 3 shifts in a period. And as a parent, they're paying the same registration fees, they're paying the same as another team, you know, that has significantly less kids. Like, they're part of the association. And I've heard a lot of different things, like, well, maybe you could put more kids on the C team, right? Because you're right, Dave, like, you're 100% right. They're not as committed when it comes to going to practice. I've seen it for my entire life. Like, they're just not. Are some? Yes. Are all of them? No. But at the same time, is that the right thing to do? It's like, well, you know, there's still a lot of them that are very committed. And it wouldn't just be a C team that would be having 18 kids, it'd be a B2 team that would have 18 kids. And if they didn't have 18, they'd have 17, which is still 4 sets of wings. And you rotate 3 centers. So now you got a left wing and a right wing that are committed. They're B2 players, and they're getting 3 shifts a period. I don't think from a development standpoint that is the right thing to do at all.
So you're saying,
I'm saying 5 teams of 13 and deal with the injuries. The injuries are a hypothetical.
But they're not, cause we already have 3.
Right, but they are, because we're sitting here saying kids could get hurt and kids could get hurt. Now, we have injuries, that's understandable. We'll have injuries at every level. There'll probably be more advantages than other levels, but that's still a hypothetical. The one thing that we can guarantee, if you put 17 or 18 on a team, is they're not gonna get any shifts. That's not a hypothetical, that is facts. So I think we make decisions based on the facts that we know and how we can develop kids going forward, not on what ifs.
What level do you want the 5th team at?
C.
So what would be our breakdown again?
Double A, B1, B2, C, C.
Be sure it's headed up.
I could do.
I don't
I can
know.
go either way. I mean, I'm open.
And maybe this is the wrong, maybe I should know this. No, here's my question, and maybe I should know this answer, but like, say that, to your point, say we put 2 C teams and one major injury drops to 9, can those C teams ever share a player? Like, you're so short for a game, can that kid play for the other team?
They can if the roster's gonna be below 10 skaters for that game, otherwise the
So then
district
you've
won't
got
approve
protection
the
to make sure you have at least 2
substitute player.
lines.
B2 can't move down to C, but C could always.
But so the 2 Cs, if they run into trouble, they'd be okay.
And that's where we ran into trouble before with small numbers on a C team, is they dropped below that and they had to get players from other district teams, so they could play games.
But do we have 2 C teams that year, Melissa?
But I don't know that,
I
We
think
in
if
a
you have
spot,
2 C teams, they can talk.
but are we in a
Yeah.
spot to have 2 C teams
No, they were the
at this
talent,
level?
I think you'd add a B2 team.
Right?
Yeah, I'd say 5 teams as well.
That's what we had last year.
And for comparison to the rest of the district is sometimes we get into our box and worry about only what we're doing, and when we start talking about competing with the rest of the district, we should also have awareness to where they are. Anybody that has more than 2 teams at a level, Woodbury's the only one who has 2 at C, but they have a double A and A, 2 B1s and 2 B2s, and then they have 2 at C. Everybody else has 2 at B2 and 1 at C if they have multiple, so that's Rosemont has 2 B2s, Cottage Grove has 2, Apple Valley has 2. Those associations all have, and 1A, 1B, and 1C.
Seeing that now,
Rosemont has a
I would change that. I would, seeing what I'm looking at, what he's looking at, I would go with an additional.
So B2 would be, if we go to 5, I would say it should be a B2.
Technically, for the sake of the debate, the number is 16, not 18, for 4 teams.
It depends on if top team took 1 less than it trickle down.
Sure, but I'm just saying,
It could benefit the team.
it's, yeah, you're saying it's not, yeah.
I mean, from a talent standpoint, I mean, I have a kid that's that level, but I don't, I'm just the mom in the stands, like, yay, whatever. So from you know, I don't know enough about the game and our talent, where would it fit our association best to have that 2nd team? Is it the C level or the B2?
could you put a couple more, like you have 2 thinner B2 teams, but then you have
If
couple
we
like
it's five, it's gonna be 13 per team.
Just 13.
The numbers
It's
would
gonna be
be per
preference by the
team.
coach too, so.
I don't know if you want like 12 on the 2v2s, and 14, I don't know, just to help with the C problem, of not showing up.
I haven't yet.
It's just
So
a funky
five
number,
is-
but I think
Yeah.
five is better.
And Robbie is the leader for that age
Rob,
group,
so
and he-
we asked, or Jordan and I did ask Rob for his opinion on this, because we knew it would be a discussion point, and Rob was in agreement with me and myself. I think we should go to 5.
Mike, do you know
Rob
what
said
Coach
5.
May has as an opinion on this, or Kyle?
I do not know his opinion, I do not know, and I mean, as far as Kyle, or our Bantam, AA paid coach, I mean, I'm sure he has an opinion, but his opinion will be solely based on the team that he'll be coaching. And I think our role is to look out for everybody, and that doesn't negate his feelings and his opinions, but I think if I'm the Bantam AA coach, I want to do what I wanna do, because I gotta do it for 6 months, and I wanna make sure that it is what it is. I think our job is to look beyond that and go further.
Do we know how many he wants to take on his team?
I do not.
13 or 14.
And if that was the case, if we went 13 or 14 and had 4
Yeah,
teams,
it'd be 18 the rest of them.
well, it's 18 plus.
Yeah,
He wouldn't be able to take 13 or
so
14.
we'd have to cut kids at the other teams, because you can't have more than 18.
Well, right, so
Yeah.
that's not.
It's not an option, so 5 is what we have to be at, so are we all in agreement, just so we can try to get into some tournaments now, so AA, B1, B2, B2, C.
Do we have to motion for that, or?
I don't think so.
We just need to go ahead and get into the tournaments, so Amanda and I will work on that probably more.
I have a
Amanda.
list of
Okay.
B2s that have available.
Are we officially moving to 5 teams?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
I mean, I feel like it's a majority. Should we just raise hands and make sure it's a majority? I don't, it's not necessarily a motion vote, it's like, right, we're making it a board decision, let's have a vote on it, so.
Like a check and balance.
Yeah, just to say that, okay, we went with what does the majority believe on this, hands for 5 teams with 13 players a team. 2, 3, 4, you don't count 5,
Nope.
6.
If it's an unofficial vote, that's why I'm here.
8, and I would
It's an
have this.
unofficial vote.
I mean, the level coordinator is swayed that way already, so.
Are you Rob's proxy?
Yeah, and Rob is for 15, again, keeping it where it is and letting numbers fall is, us, so 5 teams.
And are we set on the 5th team for that tournament purpose of being a B2?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah,
Is that fine?
the only thing that could change that is if things come in and tryouts, and I don't think they would, but if they came in and they were violently
Yeah,
skewed.
I mean, I just done a lot of pre-work already around this, I'm just concerned if we wait till post tryouts, we're not gonna have a lot of opportunity to get into some of these key tryouts, especially for the lower levels.
Could be two work.
So I asked Dave his opinion, he's like, well, could one team take a couple more, and it's like, no, they would have to all be 13, because it's evening, it's a little light, so his opinion is basically the whole discussion we just had.
Yep.
There's reasons for it, and there's reasons against. Yeah. Alright, next one up is gonna be our Pee-wees, where we are currently slated for 5 teams. We have 75 skaters and 9 goaltenders. So that would be that's 15 skaters per team across the board in Pee-wee. If you took 2 off the beach, that's only 10, it's not enough to make a 6th team. So we're pretty much stuck with that. And when we get to the tryouts, we'll rely on guidance from our paid evaluators. Where is the break point in the scoring? If we give an option for an A team to say, hey, I'm only gonna take 13. If the scoring shows it's close, well, then they're gonna do 15 just like everyone else. But we'll start with it planned as even, and if there's something in the scoring that says it shouldn't be balanced,
And I
then
think you're up to 76 skaters.
76.
Did you guys find a paid coach for the top team or no? No?
No, we tried, we We tried a couple of them twice, we also tried, we had an interview yesterday with the coach candidate that didn't go well, so.
Good, I'm fine with it. I don't think it needs to be a non-parent person, but just one of you guys wanna let her know.
So at 76 skaters, that would mean most teams would have 12, some would have 13, and that's just two rows, that's what we're deciding.
I think it would be 15 and one would have 16.
Yeah, if we went to 5 teams, if we stayed at 5 teams, because right now we're at 15.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about going to a sixth.
Yeah, if we went to 6, it would be 13 or 12 teams.
And then every year past, we've been 12 or 13 is really our target range. We don't have a shortage of goaltenders, we have 9. I think without having seen all of them in the off-season, but based on past years and the ones I have seen in the off-season, I think we were maybe a little bottom heavy in the goaltenders as well. So it's realistic that if we added the other team, people are gonna be playing closer to the correct level versus being pushed up beyond where they're gonna actually get a benefit from being up there.
So we are or aren't adding another
I think we leave it at that level.
Leave it at 5 or go to 6?
But then what's the
I
difference
think we go
between
to
the
6 and
Bantam
they just
argument
argued
and
the
the
12 or
PV
13 has
argument?
been for ice time, and I'm not gonna change that argument.
But what's the difference between the Bantam and the Pee Wee
I think
argument
it's 10 and
then?
13, isn't it? That's the difference.
You have to plunge
No,
through.
No, we're at
76.
12.7, so.
Right, so some are gonna have
It's also,
13.
it's
Some
also
of
a
it
shorter
doesn't.
game, it's a shorter game. It's a lot less opportunities to get on the ice if you have 16. You can't, how can you make the argument for the band?
Yeah, you can't make that same argument for the Bantams and then come to Pee Wees and go the opposite direction.
No, I think we should add a team and take those rosters down to the 12 or 13, just like we did with the Bantams. Yes,
So as of right now, we have an A, a B1, B2, B2C.
correct.
Slated for Pee Wees for tournaments. If we went to a 6, I don't know where that would fall, defer to people smarter than me on the boys' side. But that would leave most teams with 13 and a couple with 12, which is literally the argument we just had 5 minutes ago, so.
To be consistent, it shouldn't even be a consideration. If it's 12 or 13, that's what we wanted to do at Bantams. It's what we should be doing at Pee Wees as well. And it's in line with how our team numbers have been for as long as I've been around. 12 and 13 is what I've had on the roster every single year.
So 6 teams at Pee Wee, then 2B2, 2Cs?
Two B2s already.
Yeah,
We have two
There's already
B2s, so
So
we would
that's
be
fine.
discussing
That's
a
fine.
second
Right.
C1 or a second C.
12 kids
Or
on a team for
32.
12-minute periods is better than 15 on a team for 12-minute periods, right?
Yeah, we set precedent with Bantam, so 6 teams at Pee Wees.
Do we do a third B2 or do a second C?
I don't know if a second seed's good there.
Didn't we have an argument once where we tried to keep at least half our association from playing above B2?
Low seed.
Does the district have a problem?
Yeah, they were,
Or
were
C
they
teams?
arguing about that?
Yeah, they usually don't like.
3 teams at one level?
Yes.
So I,
Yes.
I kind of
We
solves
are-
that argument,
it's-
doesn't it?
That's, we'll get to that when it works. It's just the second, we'll get to
I
that.
know, I heard a story about that.
So we either add a B1 or we add a C1.
Or a B2, we can go 3
I like them a
B2s.
whole lot more now.
But they said the district doesn't like that.
District's not a big fan of that.
Well, we just did some service for the district, so maybe.
But if it's like Squirts 2 years ago, it's bottom heavy here.
Add another one.
Well, and that's, yeah, this particular group.
So, only won 1 game, if you got their P1.
So, again, I'll bring in the numbers from the rest of the district for perspective. Cottage Grove, Egan, Rosemont have 2 each at B2. Somehow they only have us with 4 teams and only 1, so then put us in that mix, and then Woodbury has 3 at B2, then they also have 3 at C. Then Cottage Grove, Hastings, Lakeville North, Lakeville South, and Rosemont all have 2 at C, and Woodbury has 3, so across the district, they're loading bottom heavy as well. I'll tell you, PB B2 last year was probably a little bit tougher than B2 needed to be, so I don't know that we support talent-wise for a third B2. That seems like a stretch. I started the summer telling you I don't think we should even have 2 B2s, so I would say that additional team should be a C.
I agree.
A, B1, 2 two Cs.
Yes.
Okay, do we wanna do an informal vote, just the record on this one as well? Before we
If
spend
you're
money?
good with adding a second C team to go to 6 teams, hands? 7, 8, 9, good.
Can I ask one question, and I'm not disagreeing about the 6, but when you have 9 goalies for 6 teams, what teams get the second goalie?
That is coach's choice, so top team's coach gets choice 1 or 2, and then the next one gets the choice until there's no longer a choice available.
Okay. Handbook.
Good
It's
question.
in the handbook.
Sorry.
Tryouts are on the horizon, I'm gonna get used to saying it's in the handbook,
Okay.
so don't take it personal.
Squirts. Currently, we have 5 slated, making 10.6 players per team, and 1.2 goalies per team.
What's the total score registration number?
Pardon?
What's the score registration?
53
53
skaters. 53
I
skaters,
have
6
to
goalies.
imagine that number's not.
I mean, we might be off by 1 or 2 now. We were off 7 from when I did this 3 days ago,
Okay.
so.
We wanna make sure it's.
No.
Ten skaters team.
It's supposed to be confirmed. I thought we were, I thought it was gonna be 4. We were at 5 currently.
She's got it in the spreadsheet.
One kid of the shoulder
Yeah.
blow on the roster.
I don't think anything, it's just 10 skaters.
How many goalies do we have?
We have 6.
What levels are we
52
doing
by
on
the-
sport?
So we're at 54.
Right now,
We're at 54 now.
5, we're at B1, 3 B2s, and 2 Cs.
One C.
We're not doing a sport A.
Correct.
So 10 point.
And we're probably gonna lose a
That
B2.
was the decision in the June meeting.
I thought we hadn't come to a final decision on that.
No,
I
I
thought
mean,
we were gonna
we could certainly reopen it.
let tryouts play and.
Yeah, and that's a fair way to say it. Right now, it is, cause yes, we can change it in tryouts, but right now, that's the direction we're going. With 4, we were 1, or 5, it was 1 B1, 3 B2s, 1 C. District 8 has asked us to reconsider and change that. They feel like that's loading us to the bottom heavy side. If we dropped 1 B2 and went to 4 teams, they were gonna be okay there and stop fighting on that one. Otherwise, they would like to see one of those B2 teams move up to B1, or even move an A team into the mix is what the ask is out of the district.
The district's asking us to consider it.
If we move to 4 teams, then that bumps it up to 13.5, which is that goal number, that target that we're looking for. I mean,
The number is 13. Also, just knowing some of the people that are registered, we have some brand new hockey players joining into Squirts. So, you know, that aligns with being a little bit more bottom heavy. I think having that 13 or so, some of these kids that are brand new to it, and it's my own nephew. Will he stick it out and stay? I don't know. He's brand new to it, never played hockey or nothing before, and he's not the only one. We've got one at Pee Wee's too, so the number staying steady isn't even guaranteed at this point. I would think going to 4 teams, we're still at 13.25 is a good number with 6 goalies. That gives you, 1 team has the option to have 1, the other 3 get 2.
I agree, 4 teams.
Drop 1 B2, go to 4. Hands are good with that?
Yeah, 13.5.
6, 7.
Otherwise it's 10.
For 4 teams?
Yeah.
4 teams.
Yeah, 10 is too high, right?
Well, and that covers the remainder of, those are, so Bantam, Pee Wee, and Squirt were the ones where we needed to make some team changes here in registration, so, we can move on to the next thing, and, right, cause Mike's and that, we're still open.
Tim, can we have a quick conversation about junior goalie U16 based on the numbers that came back from the survey?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if that was on your.
Yeah, no, bring it up, this is the perfect time for it.
So, it may not be as big of a quagmire as it has been in the past, based on the survey, which holds nobody to any accountability, but it's what the information that we have. had 33 responses of people that could show interest, that were interested in trying out for Junior Gold. Out of the 33 responses, 14 of them are trying out for the high school, and 19 of the responses are not trying out for the high school, which absolutely guarantees we're going to have one Junior Gold hockey team, which is great. Like, they're not trying out, they wanna play Junior Gold, they're ready to go. Of the kids trying out for the high school team, 13 of them, out of the 14 they're trying out, 13 said that if they're cut, they will return to FYHA. Now, I've kind of done a deep dive and looked at names and things just based on my own knowledge, and I feel like a lot of them may be cut, and that will trickle down to us. Here's where the conversation should happen. We have 12 kids that have to play Junior Gold hockey if they're in our program. They have to be on the older team. We have 13 kids who have U16 eligibility, and they would play up. They said that they would play up to Junior Gold. And then we have 8 kids that wanna stay at U16. The question in the conversation should focus around, do we have a Junior Gold B team and a U16 team? Or do we have 2 Junior Gold B teams that are tiered? I guess there's a third option that I don't like, it's 2 even Junior Gold B teams. I don't know if that's the right answer.
Where are we at goalie wise, cause
We got 2 goalies. 2 goalies.
we got 2 confirmed goalies.
2 confirmed
One of them
goalies.
is only eligible for U16, correct?
Well, if you're eligible for U16, you can
Here,
play
okay.
Junior Gold, right?
Now,
So we have both covered. We can,
So 33 skaters, 2 goalies.
that's who responded to the survey.
well, it
So
sounds
that
like
if-
it's a healthy number trying out at the high school.
if
so there
Coach
could be
May-
some that
yeah,
aren't
Coach May
even
takes
thinking of that
5.
survey now.
Now we're in a bit of a pickle, but,
Right.
so the question would be, do we go 2 Junior Gold teams, or do we still have that U16? And the problem with having the U16 is, now is there a better team? Is there, cause you could have a U16 kid and you tell him, hey, listen, you gotta play U16 because we're full at Junior Gold. And he's better than a lot of the older kids maybe. So where does that come in? Like, that's a bit of an issue, so I think more of tiering 2 Junior Gold teams if we needed to.
I agree. How many players?
Some of you have people that are at the high school level already.
So
Where
the
is this?
8 16Us that said they only wanna play 16, you think that the tiered approach would make them happy to still play, or?
That's what I was gonna
Yeah,
add, you're
what
rolling
happens to
that
those
moved
8
over,
kids?
cause I had a long conversation
Yeah.
with the dad about that, would
Mhm.
he still be willing to play in that group or wanna be back at the house?
I don't have that, I gotta have to talk to him, I talked to him down on the phone, and I told him that we would most likely have 2 teams. I said we were 95% sure we're gonna have 2 teams unless Coach May keeps everybody and gasses a bunch of older kids that have already been in the high school program. I don't know. I didn't see that as being a real plausible scenario, but I don't know.
Those kids potentially would come play Junior Gold then.
Yes. And then those kids that got gas, that got cut from the high school program, they could come and play Junior Gold. They're not in these numbers at all, because they probably didn't fill out the survey.
The thing that concerns me, and the nice part is we still have time on this level, right, we don't owe the district leveling, is those 8 kids that didn't wanna play up to the Junior Gold, what do we do for or with those 8 kids if we go with 2 Junior Gold teams? Are there enough neighboring communities that have a couple players each that would come in, we have a 3rd team at that age group?
No.
No, we wouldn't have a,
I don't know where this.
Never mind, that's not a
It's not
discussion.
happening.
no, we can't have a third.
I'm sorry, no.
We could outsource, we could go down to 1.
It's just a big ugly attention, like,
No,
no.
I'm saying for those 8, do we waiver them out to
It's like,
play
I'm pretty sure
U16
no.
somewhere else? Or, like, I don't wanna tell a kid that's like, you know what, I wanna play U16, I don't wanna play Junior Gold, you're a little bit smaller as a 16-year-old, and I wanna go play against your full-grown men at this point. I don't wanna see us sitting there telling them, well, sorry, we don't have somewhere for you to play hockey. If there's a way where we could have one at 16 and one at J Gold, and then they all have a place to play hockey, that would be.
I mean, then you look down and I don't know what, some of these people, as you know, when they fill out out surveys are completely backwards and they say their kid is 38 years old, but, you know, then there's another question, what age level is your child planning to play? And 16 kids said Jay Gold, and 17 kids said U16, which completely refutes the previous question of where would your child best describe their intentions? It's like, so.
Stop asking trick questions.
Like they might respond.
I think if you do the tiered, I think your point is you leave more options open for however it falls. Like, I know that there's juniors that would rather play in the better junior gold team. They don't wanna play with the 15, 16-year-old, you know what I mean?
Right.
So if you just tier it, you still get a lesser team.
Do you tier it?
Probably younger players.
Yes. Do you tier it then, and in the past, we've had tryouts when we necessarily didn't need them, sometimes we did. So if we get 35 kids, and we're gonna tier 2 junior gold teams, would you tier it, would you have a tryout? And the problem with that becomes, well, I guess if we go junior gold, then there's really no problem, except for those 8 kids.
So the
So you
8
could
kids
still have
don't
that-
want to play regular.
They don't wanna play junior gold, maybe they're entering their sophomore year, maybe they're undersized, and they don't wanna go up against an 18-year-old. There's 8 of them that have said that. Though when the rubber meets the road, here's the deal. This is what we can provide you with, 2 junior gold teams. If you really, really, really don't want to, maybe you go play Cottage Grove, or, Rosemont will have a U16 or 2 of them. So maybe we can outsource players there, but maybe that thought of having to travel will convince them maybe it's not so bad. I don't know. Just putting it on the radar, but we do have literally 2 months until this has to
Yeah.
happen, but.
So I think we should maybe engage those 8 and be like, hey, if we went with the tiered both at the older level, would you stick around still? Cause I don't wanna see us say, make a decision now that, okay, we're gonna just go and all 8 of them were dead set on playing 16 and now they're like, oh, cool, now I have nowhere to play. I mean, they'll have somewhere to play, but home has told me I'm not playing there anymore. I'd rather avoid that.
That was all, thank you.
Then you're saying the other U16s may be better to be, or would play up?
We had,
Depends on how it goes, there's a
13
couple juniors.
U16s.
Right, if their juniors get cut, then the junior gold team is gonna have some higher talent.
It's possible that the juniors in high school who are cut will still have U16 eligibility.
Yeah.
That's very possible. We've had that. So.
Yeah, I have one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, so like,
Yeah.
and you're saying he would probably prefer to play with
Yes.
the older kids.
Yes.
Like that, and then maybe you don't need a tryout, maybe you just do it by age.
Well, that's something we didn't talk about with Bantams. Is there a possibility any of these freshmen are trying out and gonna make high school team, that we're gonna lose Bantam?
No.
You'd have to speak to the head coach about that, I don't know.
But that's something we didn't consider either.
I think the likelihood of that is extremely unlikely, but that's just me.
I just don't want us to get in a, that's what concerns me with only 13.
We can cross that bridge when it comes.
Well,
Well, no.
Can't
because
really
you
adjust at that point,
can't
'cause that's
pull-
after
pull
July.
now,
another
we
two
would have to
because
find
that-
players to backfill rosters if that happened, right? It would be, if that happens, it's obviously gonna come from the 18. If that happens, then somebody from B1's gonna have to move up to fill that spot, B2's gonna have to move up to fill that spot, and our most challenging level is gonna be down a player.
And wasn't there a question on registration about that?
Yeah, I'm pulling that up now, see how many were indicated that.
I don't know how many.
Is this a hypothetical or fact?
Honestly, answer that question.
This is a
Fact,
survey
well,
question.
I think it's extreme hypothetical.
Extreme hypothetical.
Okay,
In my
so
opinion.
maybe just work through the rest of the agenda. I kind of remember what we did B2's nice days.
Mike,
Let's go.
theoretically, it might just all shake out perfectly, right?
That'd be
It
great.
just depends on. how
We'll go with
it
that,
goes.
yeah.
Everything.
No, I know, but I'm just saying like.
You're right, I
yeah.
mean, it could work out where there's just 15 U16 eligible kids and
That got cut.
17 junior golds, and we don't even need to try out, we just start practice. We got 2 goalies, that'd be great, so work on that, if you can.
That just
great.
Yeah.
It would be great, it would be great for the junior class.
Absolutely. It absolutely would be, I agree. I 100% agree with you.
Every year said Tuesday.
Sorry, I had to bring it up.
By the way, that would bring our total numbers to around 475, so we only lost about 50 kids.
Year over year.
It's not great, but it's not bad either.
They could have filled out there in the tryout and that was changed too.
Unless you get out there and get us more ponies, Mike.
It's September, man.
Ponies will sign up like Thanksgiving.
I don't remember that being a question.
So we're only down 10% in community, that's probably 30% year over year.
Well,
You're gonna try it out first.
Yeah, I mean, the economic demographics of hockey are not getting so that far.
And it was a question in your tryout and
That's why we have record numbers coming out for eighth grade football.
We're still in, we're on new bids. Right. Well,
Top men.
Chris will keep looking for it, and find it, we'll go back, but we'll move forward.
All right, two, you know that.
Moving on to committee updates, so Melissa, tryout committee.
So everything's getting close to lined up. Our committee's gonna meet after this meeting, again, to just kind of solidify a couple of things. We're still short on USA Hockey certified coaches. I think there's 14 slots still available when I looked on the sign up. So anybody that wants to get on the ice or know somebody that wants to get on the ice, we can get that signed up. We've never used referees in the past 2 years. So when we've used them when we've scrimmaged another outside association, but we haven't had them when we've done the scrimmages amongst ourselves.
She doesn't like.
No, she's outside the girls.
To who's the on the ice? I have to, Rob's in charge of that.
No, well, and part of Liz's next point is, everybody on the board is gonna get assigned some shifts during tryouts. I'm, up until I walked out the door today, working through adding all the volunteers in and all the on-ice coaches, so we'll look at what the openings are, and then with the coaches, I think we'll bump them one more time before we start assigning that as board duties. But by Friday morning, you guys should all expect to see that schedule come out. When it does, you're responsible to be there for those shifts. If you can't, swap with somebody, work that out. At minimum, a level coordinator will have to be there, so like Matt, you and I, one of us has to be at every sport session, right? So a level coordinator will be at every one, and there'll be session supervisors, and we'll be filling in gaps if we don't have locker room monitors, or we have a female locker room monitor signed up for a boys session, you know, we'll have to fill in the gaps and do the things to make this happen. So keep an eye out for that. Sorry to steal your, right off your page there.
And then we've got Team Genius is pretty much set up and ready to go for coaches to use, so that will we just have to be prepared that there's gonna be a low learning curve with that, and people are gonna struggle through it. There will be productive struggle through that process as they get used to doing that, but.
When are they gonna get that information? Like, can they download the app ahead of time?
They already.
Yeah, coaches' invites were sent out with that app and then a brochure with that app.
And then when they check in for tryouts, they'll be given an access code for that session to access.
Or are they locked? All the other levels are locked, so they can only see their levels, what you're saying?
Right, we only.
Just that specific session. So
Right,
every
we only
session
want-
you have a code.
Yeah.
We don't want them having to filter through 70-some players,
Yeah.
so it's filtered by session, and then, if you're a squirt coach, you're only looking at the squirt sessions.
Cool.
Okay, is this the time where we wanna discuss the plan for the 10U tryouts? Since there's only 8 kids currently registered to try out. so that's changed then. So, 5-on-5 probably won't be really realistic for 2 hours, I'm
No.
guessing.
In the years past, they've just given credit back to the teams for ice instead of hosting the tryout.
So, My-
To be transparent, my daughter is a U10, but she's not registered at all for Farmington or for tryouts, cause I'm waiting to see what happens. If we even have a team, if we have a goalie, what have you, and if we do end up having a team, there's no sense having tryouts and having girls play 5-on-5 with 14 skaters or 15 skaters.
no, the 5-on-5
And
is,
wasting evaluation times
is
and all
dead.
sorts of stuff.
what,
That's mine.
the kind of thought, and Lindsay and I have kind of talked about this, would be, let them get the skills evaluation, let them do the 3-on-3, see where them scores are, and make sure that we're right with the selection of the B1 or B2 level, right? Make sure get a recommendation from our paid evaluators, and then my thought would be to turn over those 5-on-5 hours and let them just get a jump on their practicing. I think it's worth it to get some scoring and some recommendation from our evaluators to make sure we've got the leveling right, or close to right?
The level between what, B1 and B2? Or what, I didn't hear the other part.
Yeah, like, cause we're going in with B1 in mind.
We're going in with B1.
We're going in with B1 in mind, but let's get a score on the skills in the 3-on-3, and does that align to being B1, or does it tell us, hey, maybe we should consider A, or maybe we should consider B2? That's the value of those first two sessions. 5-on-5 logistically makes no sense. That's not fair to the kids having to go out and play a shift, take a 3-minute break, play a shift. Like, I think we just turn that over to them to start practicing, because there's not a team selection process or anything to worry about. They're all gonna be on the same team, it's just we can get some data to either validate or change our leveling decision.
Okay.
All pending the goalie.
Still working on it.
We're gonna get there.
So then, the communication to parents then will be, we will do a skills session that will more than likely end early, since there's only 10 kids going through the process. Through 6 stations or 4 stations?
For skills,
5.
For skills, yeah, because there's only 10 kids, so like, do you just have them each do the station and then move on, or? These are all kids that don't drive, so we need to be able to communicate something to their parents as far as like pickup and like where to be and stuff.
well, there's 2 full ice ones, so what, you'd run them 3 times each on the full ice. And then you got the weed one, so you do 3 times, and then you have 3 stations, so run them through twice, 3 times in each set.
I mean, they're gonna be done in 20 minutes.
Yeah, they'll be
so-
done in probably half hour tops.
Okay. So we communicate to the parents that skills night will last 20 minutes?
I would
I'd
say
say I'd say
30 to 40
30 to
minutes.
45 minutes is what I would say.
Or do we just combine skills and 3-on-3 on the same night, and then flip the other hour to, and then just tell everybody to show up for the skills, get it done, and then just refund all the tryout money and then reissue it out as ice bills? That would be probably the most effective way to do it, in my opinion. Do 1 hour, do 3-on-3 skills, knock it out, half hour 3-on-3, half hour skills, we'll know what we have in like 15 minutes regardless. And then do the other 3 hours of practice time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
you
could
could
do
do,
it.
yeah, yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah. 'Cause you get, that'll work, actually. And then just do, instead of skills and 3-on-3 the day 1, and then turn the next 3 hours
Yeah,
over.
next 3 hours in practice, just flip
You
it.
could do that, cause the skills would be done within the half hour.
Roll those 3 hours into ice though.
Yeah, and then just roll the 3 hours into the ice bill, so
Yeah.
you still have the $100 you have to deal with for the 10 that paid, but.
See, well, and if they do it, we still are paying evaluators to be there, we're still paying ice for that session, so I don't know that we need to refund that. Or at least in full, right? We can figure out
Yeah,
what
so
the
I don't know
cost
if
per
it's
player
easier
per
just to do
hour
a
is.
refund.
I mean, there's
Fill it
20
up.
bucks of that right there is in the jersey, the travel jersey, and then we have to determine what other.
Yeah,
Yeah, so the $20 obviously.
and if we find out that it's you know, it cost us $42 to skate them through, then you take whatever the remaining balance is and ice bill credit it or something.
Yeah, I would just need these or just refund and then reissue, but most as long as transact.
Whichever way Melissa says is easier to do
Yeah,
that.
whatever
That's the
way is
we'll
easier
do
for
it.
that.
Well, we'll have to figure out what it ends up being, and then go from there.
Okay, so communication to the 10U parents can be, skills session will be, skills in 3-on-3 will remain that first block of hour, the 3 remaining will flip to practice. And then we can discuss the plan A and plan B for goals. So I would like to get the communication out before we have any roster erosion issues.
And I agree with that, like we talked about, like, at least here's an update, stop feeling like you're completely in the dark, here's what's going on, here's a couple of things that may still transpire, but at least give people some confidence that it's not just, we're going in there, we'll figure it out when we get there. So,
And then I can resend that submission over to you before we get it out to everybody then.
oh, yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay.
And then
And then I could just say more to come on the registration and tryout fees and how it will be applied to the time. Cause that'll be the first phone call I get, so I just wanna be prepared when that comes.
So what happens if we start said season and then the goalies don't work out? Or is there any sort of accountability for these girls that say they're gonna play goalie? And then what if 2 weeks in, never mind, we don't want to? I mean, then, like, are we stuck? I don't mean it this way, but I'm gonna say it this way. Are those girls who register and start the season, are we then stuck without really a team? Cause we don't have a goalie? What do we do for the rest of the season?
That is a legitimate concern.
it's very legitimate concern, yes.
I'm extremely concerned of one of the 3.
Because then if one of the 3 doesn't want to play anymore, now the other 2 are going every other, and they don't want to go every other.
So we can utilize bug out goalies, right?
Yes, we could use e-bug goalies. That will get very challenging very quick though, because you can only use the same e-bug twice in a season.
They got rid of that with the COVID, I thought.
No, that was still a rule last year.
Is that a situation where if you had the other 2, could you then talk to a U8 player who expressed interest in,
I was.
and then they could only go every other third one?
The 4 U8s that I discussed the option with emphatically said no. That they would rather play with their teammates and U10 not be an option, so.
And I think there would be rostering issues with that too.
Sounds about right.
So 3 goalies in theory, that's 1 per tournament.
Well, let's be super clear, 3 skaters who are willing to step in front of the net on occasion.
0 goalies.
0 goalies. So we potentially could have 14 skaters, 0
But that was always
goalies.
plan B, right, cause you're still working on.
Plan B, I'm still working on A, even though,
I'm just, all I hear is,
Yeah.
we just need to sweeten that pot.
well, we're working on it, I'm hoping to find out more in the next 48 hours.
Yeah, you're right, it just becomes them eating their practice, that's the hard part, right?
Yeah, that's the most difficult part, we've had very open discussions with the association I'm working with about practice expectations, et cetera, and that they're more than able to play with their teammates as much as possible, but we're just asking for commitments for home games and tournaments.
No, I mean, should we maybe even just see if we can schedule a call with Nathan tomorrow and
Yeah, he's at a thing right now, but yeah. we can touch base with him tomorrow.
it's girls director Egan, right, he's girls director?
Girls liaison for Sporting Kids. But that's literally probably the last opportunity, so we'll know more hopefully in the last 48 hours, in the next 48 hours. All the Woodbury extra goalies are going to Stillwater, cause they're short. And easier drive,
It's an easier drive.
and obviously a much easier drive, but
on their pencils.
Okay, so I'll just put in it
One more quick question on the U10 situation. If there is no resolve by the end of next week before sport tryouts, would the board entertain a U10 tryout for sports?
Yes. Yeah, if we're not offering a place, a U10 for them to play, or we're unable to offer one, I don't see any reason we would turn anyone away from that. I mean, it,
Obviously,
yeah, the only hiccup would be that they didn't declare it or whatever, but this would kind of fall into that
Right.
option player plus the need would make it reasonable to do so.
if there is a resolution by the end of next week, can KISS waiver out?
Yeah, cause then we're don't, if we don't have a team, then our handbook, what allows us to do a discretionary waiver because we don't have a team at their age level.
Does that change,
You're not gonna force a girl to play on the boys' side, but if
that
they want
change
to.
the decision we made about squirts? Again, another hypothetical, but we went to 4 teams about 20 minutes ago at the squirt level. What do we?
If it was 3 or 4 girls, I think we would add the team in and try to keep those teams down to like 13, 12 to 13, keep consistent on that team
People
size.
thinking, yeah, okay.
I think it reopens the discussion on what level that 5th team goes to, right? We went with the 3v2 with the thought that, especially at the squirt age, that kid that was pickable for B2 and ends up on C, if we can give more of those kids the opportunity to be on a B2 roster and play B2 competition, it's gonna be good for them long term, but we'd have to revisit both sides of the conversation. Alright. And 15U tryouts. We will have a 15U tryout on November 2nd and 3rd. District 8 approved today a cooperation between us and Hastings. Long and short of it is, there's 3 goalies between the 2 that want the opportunity to try out for an A team. They're all deserving of an opportunity to try out for that, so, some of them have attempted to waiver out to other associations just on their own. Hastings denied it, I've denied it. They appealed to D8 and D8 has said, no, you play with Hastings, and told Hastings like, hey, you got an A goal, like, what are you doing? So, the agreement we came to is one of us will host A, one of us will host B. We'll do a joint tryout after high school tryouts conclude, and then create 2 teams from there, do the waiver exchange, everything, there's still, all of the fine details still need to be worked out. As of right now, we will be hosting the A and Hastings will host the B at 15. So that tryout ice is secured, correct?
Yep. So we'll need to flip. You're welcome. So we'll work on that. Hastings right now has 3 tournaments. We have 3 tournaments, both at level B, so we'll do that in 5 days.
Be curious to see how many of them are the same tournament,
That would be 2.
I think Hastings has them.
Alright,
We can't just take their spot.
they also registered for B tournaments.
They also register for B.
So we gotta get registered into some A tournaments. Otherwise, yeah, that would have been the answer. Alright. Anything else on tryouts?
Yeah, so we'll just need to work out independent, evaluate the tryout committee will need to find independent people for the evaluation, which is part of the commitment, so.
Yeah, and that doesn't necessarily mean we gotta hire somebody out, and I don't even know that we necessarily need to push that to the tryout committee. We could, work with Coach Holmes, see if there's some people he'd recommend that would be good evaluators at 15U, we could reach out to some
Just
people
typically,
involved in that area.
typically independent evaluators go for $50 to $75 an hour, so we
Yeah.
just need to understand that.
Right. You offer to evaluate? But, and that'll be part of the ongoing conversations between the 2 associations, where we iron out the details speaking on behalf of Nick, or you want me to just run with his notes?
No, I mean, I can definitely speak to it. I mean, I know he put on one of the big ones to announce, Mike, I don't know if you want to steal it, but we secured skating treadmill and we'll be working on getting that placed. I know that, latest and greatest is we're still trying to determine where. I don't know if there's any updates. I know you were also trying to pick it up. I don't know.
We got it.
You got it, so.
Oh, we got it.
Mike broke here in the process, so
Nathan
here's bad luck.
Davenport, nope, Nathan Davenport here. Thanks to the generosity of, Mr. Bjorkstrand, the 3,000-pound treadmill sits comfortably in his, shop.
Are you using it?
He's been working out on it, it's really,
Obviously.
it's really paying dividends.
So spelt.
It was a huge, undertaking, and if you see, Luke Nicolai, John Simon, or, Pete Tracy, Nolan Seller's father, those guys were instrumental. Luke Nicolai is a savant genius on stuff like this, and, I mean, they figured out how to lift it with 9 points of lift, and it was quite an operation, but it was really cool. We got it out and, put it on the flatbed, moved it back down here. So we're really good, in that situation. Texting with the city today, keeping all options open on the location. They say that we understand that it's gonna fit based on the exact measurements. They visited with the insurance. The city wants to be listed as an additional insurer. I have an agreement in place with the Youth Hockey Association. Kelly from Parks and Rec is gonna visit with the city attorney, and then they'll make their final decision. She's also curious as to what other options we have, as far as where else to put it. Coach Holmes, I know there's high school options as well. I don't know if there's any news on that, but, the city, she expects by next week to have an answer, yes or no. And we have a plan on how to get it in and get it up there that we're not gonna share yet. The city doesn't need to know yet. Well,
Do you even know how to put it back together?
well, the good news is we didn't actually have to take the treadmill apart. They said that we did, and, Luke came up on day one. We took all the track apart that the kids kind of hook into, and that was easy, and we know how to do that. But the treadmill has 82 different slats for ice, and and each thing has 7 bolts, and they wanted us to take all of it apart and break it into 2 pieces. We didn't end up doing that. Luke was like, no, we can just do this. So, saved a lot of energy.
Yeah, I saw Bobcat use, so
There was a lot of that.
definitely interested in second level.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting. So, we have it, it's great. We'll find a spot and,
Can we video that?
live.
I sure will.
For insurance purposes, I think we're gonna have to. That's the update on that.
Can we just say the word pivot?
Yeah.
And then the only other one too, on that was, yeah, the dry lands.
Yeah, John, is there anything on the dry land? I know we've talked about 100 other things in the last couple weeks, and we haven't covered that.
The latest and greatest update that I've shared with a few other people is that, Mr. Berg wanted to wait until the referendum got passed, hopefully. Didn't wanna go in and install a bunch of $150,000 worth of equipment and make the community think that we were spending taxpayer dollars up there when it's all fundraised or donated or, whatever else, so. We're waiting for that in order for it to go forward, and the talk is still good, so. The space is, currently being outfitted as planned with, more weights and racks around the sides of the rooms, and, yeah, so it's.
Is it being used throughout the school day, or is it just being used with the athletics?
Oh, it gets used during the day as well.
Okay. So we'll have to consider that, but we talked shooting lanes being retractable up to the ceiling and stuff, just to.
Yeah, I mean, it's set up nice to have all that stuff kind of on pulleys and.
Yeah, well, and just protect any assets that are in there during the school day. Right?
Yeah, we have to
You're
have
gonna have
some
expensive assets in there too, so I think we share the same concern.
Yeah, the kids are all over it. We've got a putting green in there that was 20-some thousand, and we got hitting bays and nets, and I was in there 5th hour when the kids were in there, and there's always teachers in there with them, so it's, yeah.
Why aren't we in there?
Yeah, it should be a pretty cool space once we get to go ahead, so.
Alright, John,
Durant, Dakota is asking for direction on what to do with the 4 hours through X hockey for the MIT level, MIT U8 level. Last year, I think we did all MIT 3s and the top 8U. Is that still what we're wanting to do?
I think we should be doing it to all the levels on a rotation.
I know the might ones had 1 hour.
And they like it, so I think you're right.
Yeah, I think it should be all the levels should be doing it, right? We're giving them a chance to work and develop skills. The whole purpose of our MIT program is to develop skills. I think anything besides including everybody would be odd.
Okay. And then the second question is what did we decide on the third MIT hour? Okay.
Like Wednesday night.
Wednesday at Mackey is accomplishing 2 goals. One, we're getting them in our own building, more interaction and touch points with the older kids, and the third hour.
Yeah. And that's all levels, right? Not just the third.
Yeah, it's all levels of might, so it'll be on a rotation.
Okay, that's it so far.
She's doing meetings right now.
I had
Taking notes
no
on
idea
the-
this was a
did
touch
you have any
point.
notes on being here?
Alright, John, coaches committee.
Coaches committee, we all met on August 27th and we reviewed all applications received prior to 8/27. Coaching invites for the tryouts have been sent out last week along with, attachments for that Team Genius for them to fill out, so they have to download the app. And then the brochure, the attachment also give them a high level overview of how to walk through that app. So those are out there, so we should be good to go with a handful of coaches for every level there.
Have any of the invited coaches reached out and declined? Some that applied as assistant coaches we invited because we wanted to make sure we had enough. Has anybody reached out?
I
Any
haven't.
issue with that, or is it good?
We've had partial issues. I have no one's flat out said that they don't want to be a head coach. We've had a few squirt coaches ask if they can come to 2 of the 4 sessions and still be a head coach. Which I replied back, we would need you at all 4, otherwise you can't fairly evaluate if you miss a session or 2 or 3.
Correct.
Otherwise, I've had some assistants come up to me, telling me that they wanna be assistants only, but if they are in a pinch and have to be ahead, they.
So let's backtrack to that squirt question though. Yes, we want them there for all 4. We would not, and I'm speaking on behalf of all of us right now, somebody can interject if you disagree. If they're not able to attend all 4, then they can't be a head coach at a level where they're picking a team, A, B, or C, right? Right? If they're C and the team's picked for them, then it doesn't really matter if they made all 4, but if you only made 2 out of 4, you can't be picking the B1 team. That's not fair to the bubble kids that are in that pick zone.
I agree.
Yeah, they're checking these sports managers tomorrow.
Okay. So that's that, and then, the Bantam AA coach Kyle reached out to me,
On my way here.
his assistant PJ Conley wants to come back for another year. But he's not under contract, and then Kyle also wants to add a second coach to his staff, a guy named Hunter Bolin. So with that, with the PJ and Hunter not under contract, I wanted to make a motion to approve a 1-year $1,500 contract for both PJ Conley and a 1-year $1,500 contract for Hunter Bolin. Need board approval before I can say yes or no.
Second.
Question, sorry, have these guys, just because it's in a week, are they USA level certified, CEP certified? Like, to be clear, I'm all for this, but just looking at this.
TJ is, Hunter is not, but Kyle said he's working on it with him to get that done, yes.
And in the contract is language that all of that has to be updated, they don't get paid.
Just because it's a week away.
Right.
From when trials.
Right.
Still second.
Favor? Everybody's hand, okay, we're good.
Otherwise, I have no further updates of the coaches committees at this time.
Alright, budget and finance, Melissa?
Alright, last time I mentioned the Dick's Sporting Goods coupon program, we did not get approved for that. They require 60-day prior to the start of your season or event. And we were not within that window, so they did not approve that. Also, I think it would be good to connect with the lower level committee on looking at, and this can be other people too, doesn't matter, but looking at writing a grant proposal to the Louis Schmitz Foundation, to see if we can't come up with some program for our first time ponies or mites to help subsidize or provide equipment to those kids. I know the Louis Schmitz Foundation in the past has been willing and wanting to donate money to us, they just like to have a lot of detail in what the plan is, things like that, so. And that would be something that would be for next year, because they approve and pay out their grants, at the end of December.
I can see. I can write that. Hey, guy.
Yeah.
It's already done. Right now.
Mike's on that? Alright, fundraising, marketing.
Alright.
Big weekend coming
Big
up.
weekend coming up. So Beer Bash on Friday. If you're available to help, please come around 4. I think the more we have, we get it set up, we can go get ready, do whatever we need to do. Tina did confirm Kelts has 2 smart TVs, so we will broadcast the homecoming game. So Matt, I don't know if you wanna put something on social that says like, don't wanna miss the game, don't worry, we have it streaming here. So we'll have the homecoming game on,
We're gonna bring an iPad or something for that?
yeah, so we just have to figure out the streaming part of what we're gonna use to project or hook up to the TVs.
Cause I'm sure no one wants to give their phone, 'cause that's.
Right. So I don't know, do we have iPads laying around or they're in Burnsville?
No, they're not in Burnsville, it's right behind you.
Okay,
The one we bought for Burnsville's right there.
alright, so we can bring that,
I
can
got the other
someone,
one, worst case, we'll charge you.
okay, can someone make, or John, maybe I'll task you that, then making sure it's charged into the Beer Bash.
Is there a certain
Look it
app
up.
that you use?
You're the guy.
Yeah, I'd-
No,
You're the guy.
it's just a,
I'll check
Oh,
it
it's just a link.
yeah.
I said hook it up. Are you gonna be
Look
there?
it up.
Golf tournament, so amazing turnout, we sold out weeks ago, so sponsors are amazing, I think this is gonna be it will be the best fundraiser golf tournament wise we've ever had. So day of the events, Tina has it kind of broken out here, just a checklist of everything we have to do. If you are golfing, I ask that you could try to be there around 8. I know it's like gonna be a rough weekend, but if you could be there by 8, we just need to make sure we get the posters and banners and everything set up, the signs at the holes. We have a sponsor that wants to be at the hole, we gotta get the kids out to the holes to play. So all that fun stuff, we could use all hands on deck.
Is this Tim's version of being there early? It was for the open house, or is this a legit?
Well, I don't know.
Put it this way, we're up to almost 70 silent auction items that
Oh, wow.
we need to get set up. That almost
And
now
clearing
need
that
their,
out, I
their
understand
own
that,
room,
but
but they're
Can
gonna
you
have to
imagine if we
be
were the
called
most
in
prepared
from
we've
the
ever
vehicle.
I was just saying, it was
Open
like
house.
ready
Yeah,
at
that's
It
actually
was,
at the
and
top.
7:35, it was ready when open for.
Stop
work the
Hardest worker board.
Was it
It's-
easy?
Yeah, I think that's
Was it
silent
easy?
auction stuff, and then
Yeah.
Kelts already has their tables set up for that too there, so.
Yep. Then Green Mill is set, so they are our title sponsor, I think is what we ended up calling them, they're
Bar down.
Bar Down.
Bar Down.
They are donating all the food for after, what else? The silent auction. So the silent auction, just as a reminder, is going to be an online auction this year, so we'll get that all set out. We'll have QR codes at both the Beer Bash and, the golf tournament, so people can bid that way. We did it for baseball a few years ago, and it was pretty cool. We had aunts and uncles and grandpas and grandmas from all over, bidding on things, so it made a lot of extra money. We mentioned the Goldfish Swim School. They're wanting to be the title sponsor for the Might Meltdown. They're gonna get $500 for that. And then just a placeholder, I've been in touch with Hedgies. Everything is as it's always been in the past, but I locked down December 5th at 4 p.m. is when the truck is going to deliver the pizzas. Last year we had a pretty good system. I mean, I think from the time the truck pulled up to the time all the pizzas were out was an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours.
Yeah.
So,
It was quick, it was very,
yeah, Craig
really smooth.
really, you kind of had the thought process, so I think.
Do you need the TVs for that too?
Right.
TVs,
So yeah, if you could just save the date, more to come on that. My question with that, do we have a date for the, upper level coach manager meeting? I know we usually announce.
Question as to
Sorry.
why I skipped.
Okay, not yet, okay.
Are we doing that coaches training? The
The
talk
skating
was
On October, yes, I actually just left.
doing it
message-
with that.
Just confirming that with him today, I left a message, today, just to confirm October 5th, 12:45 to 2:15, we have ice reserved thanks to Dakota. So the plan, unless he is changing it, he didn't get back to me today, but I called him at noon, so just to confirm.
So are we still wanting to do a meeting in conjunction with that day, or are we wanting to separate?
I think we separate it because that coaches and managers meeting is, I think, a lot more aimed at the managers than the coaches.
Okay, I also have, and I guess this might be the spot to bring it up, Premier Bank is wanting to donate hats to our coaches, with our logo on the front, Premier's logo on the back. And she doesn't know the timeline yet on when the order will be in, and I'm not sure, I gave her numbers for both upper level and lower level, so I don't know what their plan is, if they're gonna do just all coaches or what, but I also offered up that we do get coaches together if she wanted to be a face in distributing those as well, so, I don't know if that day would be a good day, but if someone can just kind of keep me posted so I can give her information.
So yeah, really that's all I have for marketing, other than, we had some amazing volunteers that are still collecting silent auction items, putting the whole thing together, so when you see them at the Beer Bash and or the golf tournament, make sure you give them an extra thanks, because they really did go above and beyond. I mean, some of these items, silent auction items, are pretty crazy, so. Yeah, should be good.
Is there a way that we can get some of the events and stuff into the Google Calendar, so?
Sure.
I
Like,
just rely on that pretty heavily to
I
manage
do too.
myself.
I would
Yeah.
love
I guess items
to add mine.
what I have.
Yeah, just like if anybody has something going on, we just like shove it in there and then that way it goes straight to our phones, we don't forget, you know, where to be, it reminds us 20 minutes before to get there.
Yeah, I'll put Hedges in there, for sure, yeah.
And then, I guess, Beer Bash for those who are, well, they'll disperse and then come back, what, like 6:30, 6:15,
Yeah,
6:30?
yeah, if we can get all set up, and I don't think setup's gonna be huge, but it's one of those things like the open house, is it gonna take an hour and a half, is it gonna take 10 minutes, I just don't know. So yeah, I think if we can get anyone
people
available at 4, get them set up, the volunteers are gonna be there with the baskets, once that's set up, we're good to go, the band is on its own, they're set up.
And then we'll have to delegate one of us to take all the silent auction stuff back home.
Yeah, so we
Some of
have
us
a
are signed up
few,
for that
yeah,
already.
so the people that signed signed up to tear down, that's just kind of the next ask. If you're going to be at the golf tournament, when we tear down, just priority get those silent auction items in your car, if you can hold them for the night, and then get them to the golf course. That's all I got.
Lindsay, you're back up.
Tournaments.
So after today's discussion, we kind of put all the marbles in and shook them up again, so we'll work on, when I say we specifically, Amanda will probably follow up with a lot of it, since I'm still dealing with the goalie situation. But she does have a good update for the sports.
Yeah, so for Fargo, the B1, B2 team and the C team got in. So 3 out of the original 5 got in. And all hotel blocks are reserved for those drinking.
So, not bad considering they tailored quite a bit down on the quantity and went to the lottery, so we're lucky that we got them in the end. At least I think we are.
Alright, clothing, jerseys, Jordan.
Nothing.
We'll need 15-year jerseys now, I'm not really sure how we wanna do that for out-of-town players.
Yeah, home, you got any old jerseys around?
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Like
we've
game
got all-
jerseys?
Yeah.
Yeah, for 15-18.
Okay. Otherwise, we've got junior gold jerseys in boxes in the locker, we've got a couple teams worth of jerseys hanging in there, so.
Those all might be taken as.
Just not be doling those out quite yet.
Just like a little
Hang
time
tight on
on
those
space,
until we see what
so
we
I'll
need.
make sure we have a plan in place.
He's actually,
I don't know if we have enough.
No, the nice part is we'll
Would be
figure them
tapped
all out at the
at
same
Jacob
time.
B16.
2 teams would be tapped us, yeah.
Yeah.
We did, Coach May in the boys program did buy some new jerseys,
Yeah.
white ones, so he did say that there would be donations available, so.
We'll need a set at least somewhere. From somewhere.
Cool. Ryan, anything on the facility side?
The feasibility study was officially underway on their side only 2 weeks ago. It was kind of a pain in the butt for us to coordinate. Started with all of the contracts saying Farmington Youth Hockey Association, so I did have that all changed. I assumed because it wasn't us asking for it, so, but they have the check, they have the contract, yeah.
Just wait for him to tell us something.
Just wait for good news, whatever that means, day to day.
Be a moving goalpost. Jordan, anything on Tiger Towing grievance? Okay.
Is there a plan B on that?
On the grievance?
No, not the B, after that. Before you move on.
A plan B
Yeah.
of what?
A C, a D, so if the feasibility comes back and they say no, what?
I don't think that, I don't understand that the answer will be yes or no on the first.
So we're just gonna sit and wait? We're not gonna plan?
Well, we're gonna get a set of answers to the first phase of a feasibility study that will look into, the ice time is used here, the ice time is available, the ice time is we need, I mean, it's a very preliminary look. And then the second phase would be more of, traffic coming in, traffic coming out, cost, the building, construction costs.
You mentioned earlier there was conversations with the high school, something else going on? Did you not?
That's, in reference to some dry land training space here in the building.
That's it though, no other building?
As of now, yeah, the feasibility study is being started and done so that any entity interested in potentially investing in new ice in Farmington has the information that you need to start. Whether that be a private sector or an investment, building, city, but somebody had to go start getting this information, so. That's what we've decided.
I was just curious what we're gonna do with the money if we don't go that route. And I
There's a
understand
lot
it's
of, there's a lot of ideas with the iPad on.
Get some TV.
Craig will get the biggest monitors.
Yeah,
Money
get some
can buy.
TVs.
I don't think that's the worst
Right,
idea, right? We gotta
right,
wait
we
and then we
need
can
the
put some
iPad
money
on.
into it and make it a lot better.
Yeah.
What do we mean about like the iPad on?
Well, I mean, there's infinite ideas,
Oh.
yeah.
Okay, I just wanna make sure that we're not, I've heard this before at board meetings, that like, there's something in the works and we can't really talk about it, it's down the road, it's here, it's there, and it kind of feels like a veil of like, we can't talk about it, and it's hard for anybody to make decisions or come to opinions if there's things out there that are always kind of living in the nether. that we
Okay,
don't- we don't know about.
I'll say personally,
Yeah.
if a feasibility study comes back and says that another ice arena here is a terrible idea, I think that money should go to the major renovations of Schmitz Mackie.
So have
That's
we had
what
those
I think.
that's what I'm asking, have we started these conversations with the city saying, hey, we have path A, which is feasibility, but path B, can we partner? Because I've sat in this chair many years ago, as you know, I was on that same committee with you, Melissa, Mike, Gus. It's been the same shit, different day. There hasn't been a real plan.
I
Well,
think this
we've
is
tried
part of the
multiple-
real plan.
I understand, that's why I'm asking, are we having conversations with the city of if this doesn't go, can we team up? Can we work in lipstick the pig? Can we talk the,
There's conversations.
okay, so that's what I'm asking, what are we doing as a,
Yeah.
you know, when did you talk to him last about it?
A couple weeks ago.
I think
This
people
is
are
really
curious
good.
though, I mean.
But I'm
it's-
not gonna speak for the city on something that's being
No, but
recorded.
hey, we approach the city, we're talking about other alternatives, if our feasibility comes back, is it important for the rest of our community to understand where all this extra money that's being put away is potentially to go, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I've, no update in the last 6 months, hasn't been great. So that, I'm asking, I'm not mad about it, I'm genuinely wanna know. I mean, Hoyt said, whoa, we should build a super rink down here, we're gonna get behind it, and then he went his other direction, let's be honest, right? But we talked about them, we know we're gonna have to build our own, start up this fund, so we had a plan B. So now we got plan B money with the original money that was brought.
I guess I don't know what the question is. I don't believe that we will ever be able to build our own, ever.
No, but the feasibility study is necessary to get corporate sponsors or developers or investors involved in doing it. If I'm going to be an investor in that, I need something that says it's actually a good investment, right? That's the purpose of the feasibility study. I think without a specific detail, we don't have, it's gonna be locker rooms and dry land and this and this and this, but the mission statement and the purpose of the legacy fund is it's to be invested in facilities for youth sports here in
So for what we
Farmington, so
paid for.
it's not going to just go away.
I know it's not going away, I'm wondering what else are we planning, because without saying it's for now, I mean, I think most. of the
Renovations,
people in this room-
upgrades, we've discussed the possibility of doing covered outdoor, anything to improve the facilities we have here. The goal isn't to just sign a bunch of contracts all over the world outside of Farmington for more ice, it's to improve.
No, that's fair.
For what was the feasibility funding, the money for the feasibility study, does that cover phase 2 as well? Is
No,
there, when they come back for more money to go to
approval.
phase 2?
No, there's another contract, another set of monies for phase 2.
And that only happens if they say yes, if they say it's a good idea after phase 1, then we would move to pay for phase 2. If they come back and say, no, this is silly.
I don't even think you get that answer on phase 1. I think it's
they're
just we
providing us
take
the
the
information
data
to make it.
on phase 1 and we decide if we would like to,
Continue on.
talk to an architect and go to phase 2.
Right, phase 2, that you have to get an architect involved so they can start doing the cost estimation and everything, so phase 1 is the data point to make the decision, do you wanna continue down
Is
this road?
phase 2 the design thing that I always heard Hoyt talk about, saying we need something to show people?
Potentially, I mean, it's only,
You get concepts, you don't get full design.
Yeah, I get
You get concept drawings and
But it's,
all that.
Ryan, when we get the answer back,
Which fundraising gets easier when you have that.
we get that answer back from phase one, and it doesn't give us a definitive yes or no, that's what I'm hearing. And they just give us a pile of data. How do we know what the data tells us?
I don't know, I've never done this.
I'm
So,
assuming they would
yeah.
explain it.
I'm just thinking, like, I don't know what it means, right?
Other feasibility studies I've looked into and read, I'll use Bemidji's as an example. It outlines and summarizes the data and the conclusions from phase one and how those translate then to what the next steps could be. And then phase two has a summary in translation to what and how these steps.
so they
work
make
out.
an interpretation of the data based on their experience.
Correct. Yeah, so basically, they make a recommendation without just saying yes or no. They say, and they get pretty detailed, you got this many skaters per hour, and your ice time costs this much per hour, and you got this. And so they give you all of the factors in a concise way to see them all at once, instead of just going, I think. It's there. Jen?
Will that feasibility information be public knowledge for everyone or not?
The legacy fund will own the data and the information, so.
Yeah, that'll be a decision for the legacy fund, I suppose. I don't know.
Right, now, if we choose to move forward, we can certainly work to share that as part of the fundraising drive, whatever. But the legacy fund who wrote the check would own the data, so City of Farmington couldn't just take that data from that study and then now make their own movement on it, right?
I'm just thinking like, as a parent, we've been waiting, like you said, 6 months. Would it be given information to us as the parents of the association for that we understand how we've moved
Yeah,
forward?
and we would obviously
Would
say,
that be given to the parents?
review the information and make the decision that we're gonna do, but then, yeah, an update. I don't think everybody needs to know every little detail in there, but hey, here's what we found, here's some things that stuck out, here's what's interesting, here's what the next steps are that we're considering. Yeah, some transparency and just explanation of what we're doing with the data will be part of it, yes.
Okay.
Thanks. You're kind of. I'm just messing with you. Alright, level updates. I think we kinda covered that as we went through everything. Was there anything additional in lower level we didn't already hit in the other topic
Yeah,
areas tonight?
I think I just wanna double back to the ice plan for the third hour. So Dakota said that based off of that schedule to get everybody that third hour, that means it would only be every third week, every kid would touch the ice, so is that the intent? Cause I know when we had talked about the third hour, it was like trying to get them every other week.
Are you including mic ones in that then versus just?
Yeah,
twos and
cause I
threes
thought
like
that's
last year?
what we talked, yeah, so last year it was twos and threes, and then top 8U got dry land and ice, and that was indicative of the additional charge for registration, was kind of the reason for that, so I just wanted to double back to make sure that we were okay with that. Charging less, but getting the same as the other group.
Well, was that decision though just for the dry land piece, or for dry land and ice?
I think that decision last year was based on the limited.
No, I'm saying what we talked about previously and
It was
then
just
we
dry
went
land for
over
our
asking.
three,
Yeah,
I
I
think
saw
that
dry
was
land
just in
and
regards to dry land, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was just.
Yeah.
Last year you split it up, lower U8s, mic 2s, mic 3s, and upper U8s, that's how the ice went, and every other Tuesday we had it. And ones was not included in that
I
third
don't
day.
know that the ice itself needs to change.
And at the end of the day, I don't even know that the dry land is a big consideration in the cost, cause we don't get the ice without the dry land, right? We're committed to the dry land regardless. If it's a little cheaper in the first year, again, coming back to retention, if those white ones are getting the benefit and they're not getting sticker shock right away, it can help with retention. When we're talking about dropping teams and squirts versus adding teams and squirts, retention should be at the top of our radar. When we're talking about not being able to field 10U, retention should be at the top of our radar, so however we have to make it work, I think everybody should be given that opportunity.
You could even just give mic 1s once a month, I mean.
Yeah.
Well, the time when dry land fell to them was because the twos and threes were like at jamborees, and were already doing other things,
I could sit here and bogart the whole thing, but I think I've already,
I mean,
Provide.
Pete at X Hockey, I mean, he thinks it's good for my ones too, I mean, you know, but.
Yeah, I'd love to see my ones get a third hour of ice, I don't think it's a ton, but I just think it might take some parents.
I was talking dry land.
I mean, I just think we need to have a consensus as to how we're gonna respond when someone says, one parent is paying this less than me,
Yeah.
but getting more,
Yeah,
or
that's
getting
all I
the
can
same,
say.
But
so
I mean,
like,
if you only offered Mike one once a month versus, you know, yeah.
To me, the dry land piece is fine with my one. The ice thing, I think we can keep the same as we did last year.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
so we just say you're already hooked, so we're gonna charge you more. Is that the response?
Well, no, they're getting more ice.
No,
A
two
little softer on the edge.
No, twos
They're
are
getting more ice.
would get more ice.
Who's in cruise are staying Wednesdays now.
Yeah, but just a moment ago, we said that we were gonna split it evenly for all of them.
Oh, he was
we're
talking, he
saying-
was
That was
talking
dry.
dry.
That was dry land. That was dry.
Yeah.
Okay, so just twos and threes get the extra hour of ice.
Correct.
right,
you
but
do it.
I still think
And
as
you
the
raise.
game blocks and stuff, when, as Dakota works through that process, that additional time on Wednesdays at Burnsville may still be available too. It may not have to be only at Mackey. We might be able to have mites skating in two different rinks and more mites are getting more weekday ice touches.
Okay.
And that's something we should be, if it works out, we should be doing it.
Agree.
Okay, so the direction then for ice is rotated through all levels. No, just twos and threes. Just twos and threes,
Threes.
and then dry land is rotate through.
And if there's some additional hours that we have to use at Burnsville that are available and they happen to fall in that Wednesday 6 o'clock time that we were discussing earlier today, then by all means, we can give them some additional ice as it's available. You prioritize the ones that have paid the higher for it. It would definitely include the first years in the dry land.
And then hopefully in 2025, we have dry land here open, so then we can adjust accordingly.
Correct. Amanda, anything else with you tens? We're pretty
No.
deep into that already.
Yeah.
You do also have on the lower levels, free tryout skate schedule. You
Yep.
do not?
Yep, ice time secured, Scott's working on securing all the coaches and lining up the on-ice plan, and then we'll get the registration built. in the next few days.
Yeah, we pretty much got the time zeroed in, and we're working on the coaches. Just need to get it up on the site, I've already confirmed the drills, so I just gotta make sure to get those out to the coaches that are doing it. So, it's just getting everything buttoned up, it'll be ready to go here in the next week.
Done. Squirts, any updates we had there, we've already hashed over some good there. U12 and U15 we've hashed over. John, anything in Pee-wees that we haven't covered yet?
Nothing new.
Rob, anything in
Jake already
Banner's?
here, but. And then Junior Gold, anything else that we haven't already covered today?
No.
Very good. Anybody have any old business that was not on the agenda?
I have one thing that is very quick. Excuse me, this Saturday, September 14th, Coach Holmes will be inducted into the Farmington Athletic Hall of Fame. We're very excited. Very well deserved. Congratulations, Coach Holmes.
So Dave knows why why I can't make the scramble.
And you're also, forcing some of your kids to go, so they can't help. We can't help, we have to go to Coach Holmes's induction, which is, they should go there.
Alright, so before anyone motions to adjourn, just a reminder, voting board members, we're gonna have a closed work session afterwards to address the vacant seat. So once we adjourn, voting members, please stick around.
And then trial committee needs to stick around for our meeting after that.
This place close.
How do I get an official answer for the
Grievance committee.
Should have asked. I don't
Maybe I get my sleeping bag. I got my sleeping bag.
Somebody,
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second.
you're not technically adjourned.
Right, meeting.
Hey, you could have done it.
No, is there?
Selfie pictures with Alex. Oh, you missed it?
Make sure you get it updated.
I haven't updated mine now. Does any of you?